After delivering the documents to my husband and returning home, I discovered our child was missing. I searched for 10 years. I was in a daze the whole time, nearly falling into the river several times while searching for my child. I couldn't accept it. I blamed myself. I was filled with regret. Shen Jian kept reassuring me that losing our child wasn't my fault, and he didn't blame me, yet in the end, I simply couldn't go on living. In my final moments, I saw my husband's first love standing before me, holding the child I had lost. She said, "Ian, I brought the child back so she could see her one last time, to give her some peace as a mother. So it turns out, my child was never lost. He was given away by Shen Jian to his white moonlight who had just lost her own child. A whole 10 years, this man, who claimed to love me, watched me suffer, watched me blame myself, watched me spiral into madness, and even descend step by step into the abyss. He took the secret of giving our child to Zhou Shui to his grave. Shen Jian, this lifetime, now it's your turn to know the agony of losing a child." Boom. Before I even stepped inside, a shattered bowl exploded at my feet. Flying debris left a deep gash on my forehead. "Gunnian, how much longer are you going to keep this madness up? I told you the child is gone. Gone. We can't get them back. Why can't you just let it go? If you put this much effort into starting over, we could have had another child on the way by now. Do you have any idea how your obsession makes me look to everyone else?" Shen Jian stood tall and straight in his well-pressed Zhongshan suit, like a pine tree, yet his handsome features were now deeply furrowed with concern. Seeing that I wasn't responding, Shen Jian grabbed me by the collar and shoved me into the bathroom. With profound anguish, Shen Jian pressed my face against the bathroom mirror. "Gunyan, wake up. If you keep spiraling like this, how are we supposed to go on? Have you ever stopped to think what would become of me if you died?" Staring at the face in the mirror, weary yet unmistakably younger, I finally understood. I had been reborn. I really have been reborn. I was reborn in the second year after my child went missing. Staring at my reflection in the mirror, I broke down into uncontrollable sobs. Shen Jian thought I was crying over our lost child. He sighed and pulled me into his embrace. His tone was filled with helplessness. "Nian Nian, pull yourself together, will you? The child was mine too. You think I'm not heartbroken, but life has to go on, don't you agree?" I clutched the hem of my clothes tightly, hiding the hatred in my eyes. Seeing that I had calmed down, Shen Jian went to the kitchen to start making dinner. I watched the man bustling about in the kitchen. He'd taken off his jacket. His white shirt was tucked into his pants, with an apron tied around his waist. I used to be the one who cooked in this household, but after our child went missing, he started caring for me and looking after my daily needs out of compassion. If I hadn't heard Zhou Shui bringing the child to me right before my death in my previous life, if I hadn't been reborn, how would I have ever known? This man who seemed to care for me so deeply, always looking out for me, yet, he turned out to be the very one who tore me and my child apart. I closed my eyes briefly. Tears welled up and streamed down from the corners of my eyes. "Nian Nian." Tears at the corner of the eyes were gently wiped away. "Nian Nian, don't cry. My heart breaks every time you cry." Shen Jian has always been a man of few words. For him to say something like that is practically a love confession. "Alright, I've finished cooking. Don't cry now. Come on, let's eat first." Shen Jian brought out the freshly cooked meal. On the table were my favorite braised pork and eggplant, along with a bowl of richly simmered chicken soup. But when I noticed another bowl of soup set aside separately, my gaze faltered. Shen Jian was perceptive. Noticing my gaze lingering on that single bowl of chicken soup, he let out a sigh. "Nian Nian, don't be difficult. Shui Zhou has been raising the child alone these past 2 years. Her health has taken a real toll. You know how it is. Her husband isn't exactly the caring type. It's just a bowl of chicken soup, and you won't even finish it." Before Shen Jian could finish speaking, there was a knock at the door. Sis Nian Nian, Brother Shen. It was Zhou Shui who had arrived. Zhou Shui is an elementary school teacher. She wore a brown maxi dress paired with a white blouse, her hair styled in trendy curls that made her look utterly chic, like a leading lady straight out of a Hong Kong drama. In my past life, I only learned just before my death that Zhou Shui, exhausted from caring for her newborn, had accidentally smothered the child in her sleep a few days after giving birth. Zhou Shui's husband works at a steel mill. He has a terrible temper. Everyone in our compound knows full well that he'd beat Zhou Shui at the slightest provocation. If Zhou Shui's husband finds out they've lost their only child, it would destroy her. That's why my husband, Shen Jian, I secretly handed my child over to Zhou Shui. That day, Shen Jian, who was the deputy factory director, specifically sent someone to deliver a message asking me to bring him an important document. If it were just an ordinary item, it wouldn't have been a big deal. but with such an important document, I didn't dare to entrust it to anyone else. Seeing the child had just fallen asleep after feeding, I asked the neighbor to keep an eye on them, saying I'd be right back, even though I made it back within an hour, but the child was gone. Shin Jian and I turned the entire residential compound upside down searching, but the child just vanished into thin air. I went from holding on to hope at first to being disappointed over and over again. I thought maybe a neighbor's dog had caught his scent and carried him off, so I went door to door looking for anyone who owned a dog. I was also afraid my child had been kidnapped, so I kept going to the police station, begging them to find my son. I even dreamt that my son was found in the river. I woke up and rushed to the riverbank, not even realizing I'd lost a shoe along the way. If someone hadn't held me back at the river's edge, I would have fallen in and drowned. The most terrifying time was when I dreamt my child had been thrown into the courtyard well. I grabbed a flashlight and went searching in the dead of night, but in the pitch-black well, I couldn't see a thing. I could only keep calling my child's name while straining to peer into the darkness. My foot slipped, and I fell into the well. The icy water closed over my head. I struggled desperately, but the water quickly rose over my mouth and nose. In the end, I gave up fighting. I think, since I've failed so miserably, since I've lost my child, then there's no point in me going on living. Before I lost consciousness, I thought, oh heavens, just take this unfit mother away from this world. But I was rescued after all. Someone feeling unbearably hot at night came to fetch water for a cold shower and found me. When I woke up, all that awaited me was Shin Jian's harsh slap across my face. He said, have I lost my mind? How am I supposed to go on with my life like this? I clung desperately to Shin Jian. I said I can't go on living. I truly can't bear to live anymore. My mother-in-law blames me for being a jinx, saying I caused her precious grandson to go missing. She constantly mocks and sneers at me in daily life. I endured all of this, but in the dead of night, the pain of losing my child tore me apart. That day, Shin Jian held me tightly. He said he was sorry. I'm sorry, Nian Nian, I owe you an apology. At that moment, I don't know why Shin Jian apologized, but now, got it, Shin Jian, you gave my child to Zhou Shui. You made me suffer the agony of losing my own flesh and blood. I stared fixedly at Zhou Shui standing by the door. Oh, Shin Jian, you have truly wronged me. You're absolutely despicable. 3. Zhou Shui seemed completely oblivious to my expression. She turned her head and gazed softly at Shin Jian. Brother Shin, do we have any fever medicine at home? Ran feels like she's running a bit of a fever. What? I was about to jump up, but I dug my nails into my thigh, forcing myself to stay put. I closed my eyes briefly. Don't get up. Don't get up. It's not time yet. What? Ran has a fever. Shin Jian grabbed his coat and was about to head out. Zhou Shui glanced at me, looking a bit hesitant. Brother Shen, just give me the medicine, or else Sister Nian Nian will be upset. Shin Jian frowned and looked at me upon hearing this. Gu Nian, I don't care what nonsense you usually pull, but Ran is sick. This is no joking matter. You stay put right here at home. If you keep acting crazy, don't blame me for sending you back again. My heart shuddered, fighting back fear. My grip on my thigh tightened so hard I nearly drew blood. I watched Shin Jian walk halfway, then turn back to carry the chicken soup out. I saw Zhou Shui take a couple of steps, then glance back at me. Her eyes held a mix of defiance, scorn, and triumph. Gripping the table, I waited until they were out of sight before collapsing to the floor. In my past life, Shin Jian took Zhou Shui's advice, claiming I was driven mad by longing for my child. If no one keeps a close watch on me, I'll attempt suicide again. Shin Jian followed her suggestion. Take me. They sent me to a psychiatric hospital for the first time. I was locked up for a year. That whole year, I was confined in a daze, forced to take medication day after day. My hair is falling out in clumps. I told them I wasn't sick. I said I wasn't suicidal, but no one believed me. They said I was being difficult and uncooperative with the treatment. The dosage was doubled. I threatened to file a complaint, and they doubled the medication. I demanded to see Shin Jian, but they still increased the dosage. Eventually, I wised up. I did whatever they told me to do. They asked if I had lost my mind. I said yes. They accused me of trying to kill myself on purpose. I said yes. They asked if I would cooperate. I said I would. Just like that, I was locked up for a year. I became like a puppet, barely alive, and almost lost my life. This time, I was locked up for a year. After Shin Jian got me out, I was actually ready to give up searching for my child. After all, it's been 2 or 3 years, and the hope of finding my child has become very slim. I want to live a good life with Shin Jian. I want to start over. It's really tough, incredibly tough, but it was then that I noticed Shin Jian's unusual concern for Zhou Shui. Even Zhou Shui deliberately showed off her ambiguous relationship with Xin Jian in front of me. My already fragile heart grew even more agitated. The child is gone, so why isn't Xin Jian grieving? Why is he showing such concern for another woman? Finally, after I slapped Zhou Shui one time, Xin Jian said I'd lost my mind. I was sent back in again. This time, I was locked up for 3 years. Those 3 years nearly cost me my life all over again. It was only then that I got a chance to see Xin Jian. Xin Jian was utterly astonished when he saw me. He asked if I had been having a hard time inside. I wanted to cry, but I didn't dare. All I could say was that I had recovered from my illness. I'll never go looking for the child again. I won't hit anyone anymore, not even Zhou Shui. I was wrong. I truly know I was wrong, and honestly, I'm really scared now. Can I please go back? Xin Jian had initially agreed, but Zhou Shui, who came with him, suggested it would be better to wait and observe a bit longer. Otherwise, if I were to go out and harm myself, Xin Jian would regret it too late. And just like that, I was locked up for another month. I spent that entire month on edge, terrified that Xin Jian wouldn't come for me. If I were to die, I'd want to die at home. The month dragged on like an eternity. Only then did Xin Jian come to take me back. By that time, my health had already taken a turn for the worse. Even after leaving, my condition deteriorated rapidly, devoid of any will to live. I dragged through 4 or 5 years like a walking corpse, and soon became terminally ill. It was only on my deathbed that I finally uncovered their secret. For I clutched the edge of the table with a death grip. Oh, Gunyan, I must endure this. I absolutely must. Otherwise, not only will I not get to see my child, if they sense something's wrong, they'll lock me up again. After taking a moment to collect myself, I finally got back on my feet. I picked up my bowl and chopsticks and started to eat, but after not eating properly for so long, my stomach had already taken a toll. Now, with every bite, I feel a sharp, cramping pain in my stomach. I took one bite and rushed to the bathroom, vomiting until the world went dark, but after throwing up, I came back to finish my meal, fighting back nausea. I chewed slowly and deliberately. I need to survive. I need to take good care of my health. I absolutely must survive. With tears streaming down my face, I forced down an entire bowl of rice. After cleaning up, I couldn't help but sneak over to Zhou Shui's house in the dark. I know the child is safe with Zhou Shui, and there's no immediate danger to their life, but in the previous life, when Ranran was 3, he knocked over a boiling kettle. Scalding water splashed onto his legs, peeling the skin off his right leg. He ended up hospitalized for 2 full months. At the age of 8. A fever that wasn't treated in time led to deafness in one of his ears. Back then, I once lamented with Xin Jian about how unfortunate this child's fate was. I never would have imagined. Ranran, this child, is mine. She is truly mine. She is my own flesh and blood. Zhou Shui, how dare you? You stole my child, yet you treat him so harshly. In my past life, it never once crossed my mind that Zhou Shui's child was actually mine. Within the first 2 years after the child went missing, Zhou Shui sent him back to the countryside. They didn't bring the child back until 2 years later. I never understood why back then. Now it occurs to me that Zhou Shui must have worried I might accidentally see the child and recognize my own. Once the child turned 2 and looked completely different from infancy, that's when they finally dared to bring them back openly, wiping away my tears. I groped my way through the darkness to the foot of Zhou Shui's wall. At that moment, the lights were still on inside the house. Brother Shen, Ranran is fine. You should go back now. I heard Zhou Shui say softly. It's alright. Ranran is my child too. I'll stay with him. Xin Jian's usually aloof voice was now unusually gentle. It was unclear whether this was meant for the child or for Zhou Shui. There was a moment of silence inside. I heard Zhou Shui let out a sigh. Brother Shen. Do you think Nian Nian hates me? Xin Jian remained silent. Brother Shen, I'm truly sorry. I'm so sorry. If it weren't for me, you wouldn't have had to separate Nian Nian and Ranran. Sis Nian wouldn't. She just wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Is Gu Nian giving you a hard time again? No, it's fine. I know Sis Nian has the wrong idea about me. It's nothing, really. It's just, Sis Nian always thinks that you and I, oh, never mind. You know how gossip spreads in this compound. If Nian Nian starts spreading half-truths, Ranran and I, we wouldn't be able to face anyone. Sobs. My heart sank like a stone. Just as expected, Xin Jian's voice came through, low and tightly controlled, yet seething with anger. Shui, don't worry. I won't let Gunyan give you a hard time. I'll talk to her when I get back. No, Brother Shen, please don't. Please don't get into another argument with Sister Gunyan because of me. She's just recovered from her illness, and I'm afraid she might still be struggling mentally, we should be more understanding. Sigh. I was thinking, maybe Sister Nian hasn't fully recovered yet, should we consider sending her back for further treatment for now? Brother Shen, I heard that. I staggered along the wall and made my way home, my steps unsteady. As soon as I got home, I shut myself in my room. I shook my head vigorously. No, absolutely not. I can't be sent back there again. My past life experience of being confined in a psychiatric hospital was too traumatic. I had no idea. I don't know if I could survive going back there again. Besides, now that I finally know Ranran is my son, there's absolutely no way I'm going back. A sudden thought struck me, and I yanked the drawer open. Inside was a notice, a journalist assignment notice for the Northern Frontier. I couldn't help but pick up my press pass, gently tracing its edges with my fingers. In my past life, after losing my child, I could no longer focus on my career. Initially, my workplace was very understanding and even granted me an extended leave. They even assigned me work again 3 years later. This assignment in northern Xinjiang. The nation was placing growing emphasis on the region, with not just the majority of educated youth heading to northern Xinjiang. Even key researchers from various fields were getting involved. Stationed correspondents became indispensable. In my past life, I was muddle-headed and failed to cherish this opportunity. That's why I ended up being locked away again. This time, I'm determined to seize this chance and break free. Not only will I escape, but I'm absolutely taking my child with me. I checked the time and realized the deadline for registration is tomorrow. I'm overjoyed. It's tomorrow. There's still time. I had just slipped the notice into my pants pocket when I suddenly heard a knock at the door. Nian, are you in there? I spun around abruptly, staring at the door in terror. Suddenly, memories of my past life came flooding back. It was on this very night in my past life that Xin Jian and Zhou Shui came to my door together. Seeing the two of them acting intimately, I ended up saying some harsh words. Little did I expect that I would be sent back in overnight. So now, looking at this gate feels like staring down some monstrous beast. Just as I hesitated, I heard Zhou Shui say, Brother Shen, do you think Nian is alright? I told you Sister Nian hasn't fully recovered yet, but you just wouldn't believe me. Quick, let's break down the door and get Sister Nian back to safety. The next moment, I saw the door being kicked open with tremendous force. Nian, 5. Xin Jian walked in just as I was sitting up in bed. Ayen, what's wrong? I looked dazed, as if I had just woken up. Before Xin Jian could speak, Zhou Shui stepped forward and stared straight at me. Nian, are you okay? Please don't be angry. When Brother Shen left you to come find me just now, it really wasn't what you're thinking. He's just concerned about the child, you know, since you lost your own child, and Brother Shen loves children so much, he's just been treating Ranran like his own, that's all. It's really not what you imagine. Zhou Shui stood before me, one hand unconsciously clutching her collar while her eyes darted away nervously. Even to any reasonable outsider, her expression would have seemed clearly off, as if she actually did something unspeakable with Xin Jian. And what do you mean by abandon you again? What's this about your child is gone, and Brother Shen treats Ranran as his own son? She's clearly trying to provoke me on purpose. That's how it was in my past life. It's the same story in this lifetime. The difference is, last time I fell right into her trap, but this time around, I couldn't help but laugh, held her hand affectionately. Zhou Shui, dear, let's not talk about it anymore. You know how it is. Your Brother Shen is just that warm-hearted. What could I possibly be overthinking? You're just being overly sensitive. After I finished speaking, I turned to Xin Jian and asked, Ayen, how is Ranran doing? Xin Jian's gaze swept over my face inch by inch, as if trying to figure out if I was faking it. There was even a hint of wariness in his expression. As if bracing for me to suddenly lash out again, I pretended not to see it. I suddenly asked, by the way, what brings you here all of a sudden? Now it was Xin Jian and Zhou Shui's turn to fall silent. I yawned. Alright Zhou Shui, you should head back now. Ayan, you should get some rest too. Seeing that I didn't make a scene, Zhou Shui had no choice but to walk back reluctantly. At this point, Xin Jian also felt it was inappropriate to go over, especially since there were other people in the courtyard. If he keeps going in and out of Zhou Shui's place so often, people might start talking. Just before falling asleep, Xin Jian's weary voice whispered in my ear, Nian, just stay home and rest tomorrow. Don't go out looking for the child. Don't make me worry. Alright. There seemed to be a genuine note of concern in his voice. Yet I felt completely unmoved. Alright, I heard myself say. Early the next morning, Xin Jian headed to the factory. Early in the morning, I started steaming a batch of buns. After putting the buns onto steam, I packed up my belongings and placed them in the corner. Once the buns were ready, I took them all out, put them in a basket, and covered them with a white cloth. To avoid drawing attention while carrying my luggage outside, I had to wear all my valuable jewelry. Xian meticulously stitched the money into the garment, one thread at a time. As I sewed, I kept an ear out for any movement from across the hall. Finally, I saw Zhou Shui step out of the courtyard carrying a wooden basin full of laundry. Trailing behind her, Ran was stumbling along, barely able to keep his balance, yet Zhou Shui didn't even bother to glance back, completely absorbed in walking forward. I stared intently at that small figure, watching as the two of them exited through the main gate. I wiped away my tears, picked up the basket, locked the door, and followed them out. Along the way, neighbors who saw me heading out all gave me pitying glances. Nian, heading out again. How many days will you be gone this time? I didn't say anything, just nodded and walked past everyone. The sound of people murmuring behind me followed. Ah, it's so tragic. She lost her child and now she's lost her mind. You know, a child is always a mother's dearest treasure. TSK. Who knows how many days it'll be before they come back this time, if you ask me. Only a mother truly aches when her child goes missing. Look at her husband, Comrade Shen. TSK. He doesn't seem bothered at all. Don't even get me started. I saw how affectionate her husband was with that woman's child, and let me tell you, just last night, in the dead of night, I even spotted him in that woman's room. TSK. What, really? Oh my goodness, I listened to the murmurs behind me. Following Zhou Shui with an expressionless face, ahead, Zhou Shui had gone to the riverbank to do laundry. I kept my distance as I trailed behind, until Ran made her way to the opposite bank of the stream. By the river stood a large tree. Perhaps something caught Ran's eye, and she began walking step by step toward the water's edge. Then he crouched down. During that time, I noticed Zhou Shui only glanced this way once and didn't pay any more attention to Ran, watching the rushing river. My heart clenched with anxiety, hearing the footsteps. Ran looked up at me. Auntie, my heart skipped a beat. I took a steamed bun from the basket. Ran, I'm going to buy some candy. Would you like to come along? I fought back tears, afraid of frightening the child in front of me. Ran seemed genuinely tempted, but after a moment's hesitation, he shook his head. Mom said I'm not allowed to play with Auntie. He hesitated before adding, Auntie is a bad person. My tears finally fell with a soft plop. Zhou Shui, Shen Jian, you all deserve to die. Perhaps seeing my tears, Ran hesitated for a moment but still stood up. Auntie, why are you crying? Shame on you. Alright, I'll go with you, but you mustn't cry. Okay. I nodded eagerly and immediately scooped Ran into my arms. Just as I stood up holding Ran and turned to leave, a furious roar suddenly echoed through the air. What are you doing? No text to translate. Then I was shoved violently from behind. I stumbled, and all the steamed buns in my basket tumbled out, scattering across the ground. My right knee slammed hard onto a sharp-edged rock. I had no time to mind the pain. I turned my head and saw Zhou Shui shielding Ran protectively in her arms, glaring at me with fiery eyes. My heart sank in panic. Oh no, I'd been caught. Before I could even think of a response, Zhou Shui suddenly raised her voice. Help, someone's trying to snatch a child. Help. Please, someone help. They're taking my child. Oh my god, hurry. Zhou Shui's screams quickly drew the attention of nearby villagers doing laundry. Before I could utter a word in my defense, someone kicked me and shouted, You damn child trafficker. How dare you target our people? Yeah, just wait till we beat you to a pulp. My scalp tightened with fear. Then I was shoved forward hard, and my chin slammed against a rock in the riverbed. The pain brought tears to my eyes. Auntie, it's me. It's me. Nian. I endured the blows raining down on me, tears welling up involuntarily from the pain. What? Nian. Is that Nian? The blows stopped, and someone turned me over to get a look. Oh my god, it really is Nian. It's Nian. Good heavens. How is it Nian? Everyone scrambled to help me up. Someone couldn't stand it and turned to confront Zhou Shui. Is this Daming's family? Isn't this Nian? Why did you call her a kidnapper? Yeah. You made us all misunderstand and beat the person up like this. Oh my. My heavy hand. Oh. Zhou Shui shielded Ran tightly and gave me a mocking glance. Clearly, everyone was thoroughly enjoying the spectacle we just put on. I clenched the sand in my fists and held back. Having had her fill of the drama, Zhou Shui put on an act. Oh, it's Nian. Well, I'm so sorry. I saw someone carrying Ran away and thought it was a kidnapper. I'm truly sorry, Nian. Someone couldn't stand it anymore. Mrs. Damning, do you think a half-hearted apology is enough after Nian Nian took that beating for nothing? Zhou Shue's face flushed with embarrassment, then let out a cold laugh. Auntie, you know very well that Zhou Nian is mentally unstable. Who knows if she's trying to steal my Ranran when she holds her? She's not your child, so you wouldn't care, would you? The aunt spat in disgust as she spoke. Ugh, Nian Nian seems perfectly fine to me. Everyone knows Nian Nian never does anything extreme except when it comes to finding her child. I think you're just doing this on purpose. Zhou Shui, feeling embarrassed, stormed off with her child while muttering curses. I thanked the aunties for standing up for me and sat down by the river in a daze. So close, just a little more, and I could have taken Ranran away. Today is the final day for registration. If I can't set out today, I won't make it to the border region. What do we do? I buried my head in my knees and sobbed uncontrollably. 6. After what felt like an eternity, I felt a small hand gently patting my back. I looked up. Ranran pressed half an ear of corn into my hand. Auntie, have some. The child looked at me with clear, innocent eyes. I froze for a moment, then held Ranran and wept uncontrollably. Suddenly, a thought occurred to me, and I turned to look. There's no one around now. A thought struck me. Ranran, how about Auntie takes you to buy some candy? Would you like that? Though what I really want to do right now is hold Ranran and have a good cry. But, there's no time left. I stared intently at Ranran, terrified he might reject me, but Ranran simply nodded in agreement. I scooped Ranran up and prepared to leave. After a few steps, I removed one of his shoes and tossed it toward the riverbank. Zhou Shui, Shen Jiyan, your retribution. He's here. 7. The train tickets were prepared long ago. I had just handed the notice to the secretary when the train started moving. Watching the scenery rapidly recede, the anxiety I'd been holding on to finally eased. By the time Shen Jiyan returns tonight, it'll be far too late to do anything. To make matters worse, the child was missing. With only a shoe found by the riverbank, all that awaits Zhou Shui is a brutal beating from her husband, yet Zhou Shui stubbornly refuses to admit that the child isn't her husband's. I'm genuinely curious to see what fate has in store for Zhou Shui next. 8. The child and I settled in quickly after arriving at the frontier. At first, Ranran did fuss a bit on the train, but maybe it's the bond of blood. I managed to soothe him pretty quickly. After a week, by the time I finally reached the border region, Ranran and I had grown quite close. He was even calling me mom warmly and naturally, although he still occasionally says things like the other mommy and such, but I just pretend not to hear it. Children forget things easily, and soon enough, Ranran will forget about the past. Now that we're here, I have to go to work and can't take care of Ranran. Fortunately, our workplace has a nursery with teachers and caregivers, and it's completely free to send our children there. I just need to drop them off before work and pick them up after my shift ends each day. No matter how late I am, the teachers always take good care of them. Many children at the nursery are descendants of Xinjiang aid workers, including not only workers' children but also those of scientists and various professionals. I'm completely at ease knowing my child is well taken care of here. As my child grew older, I was able to devote myself fully to my work. Many scientists who came to support Xinjiang in the early years haven't returned home for over a decade or two due to various reasons. Numerous engineers have even struggled to balance their work with family responsibilities and childcare. Many of Ranran's classmates at the kindergarten have parents in exactly this situation. Even more remarkably, numerous scientists have dedicated their entire lives to their country without ever marrying or having a partner. I hold profound admiration for such scholars. Unfortunately, due to confidentiality constraints, I can only document many interviews for now without publishing them. When Ranran was 8 years old, I was faced with two choices. I could either go to work at a television station in the border region or be transferred back to the south. After much thought, I decided to stay in the border region and took a job as a behind-the-scenes news worker at the television station. Ranran has always been very understanding, knowing how hard I work, and has never complained about me not spending more time with him. He studied extremely hard and was admitted to Tsinghua or Peking University upon graduating from high school. I haven't been back all these years, but since Ranran is about to study in Beijing, and getting into Tsinghua or Peking is such a big deal, I plan to go back and pay respects to our ancestors. Ranran wants to go back with me, but I turned it down. Although he couldn't travel abroad with his classmates, there were still plenty of beautiful places to explore within the country, so I transferred some money to Ranran, so he could enjoy the trip with his friends without any worries. As for me, I boarded the train back home for the very first time. Things are so different now compared to the past. The country is developing rapidly, with skyscrapers springing up everywhere. By the time I returned to my parents' old house, I was completely lost and had no idea which way to go. Fortunately, the neighborhood office staff warmly welcomed me without delay. The demolition is already underway here. The old single-story houses have been replaced by high-rises, and if it weren't for the neighborhood committee staff guiding me, I wouldn't even recognize where my home used to be. I had no intention of lingering around here. As the neighborhood committee staff escorted me out, I noticed that surprisingly, there was still a cluster of old houses in the central area that hadn't been torn down. What is that area? It's surrounded by skyscrapers. Why are those still single-story houses? The neighborhood director followed my gaze, then shook his head with a wry smile. You mean that place over there? Ah, that's the infamous holdout household in our area. An old stubborn fellow named Shin Jian lives there. My brow twitched. Shin Jian. Back when the demolition was happening, no matter how much we tried to persuade him, old Shin just refused to sign. You know what he said? He insisted he had to hold on to this house and wait for his wife and son to come back. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to find their way home. Can you believe it? Sigh. I just smiled. Who would have thought? This guy's actually quite the romantic. The neighborhood committee director had probably held a grudge against Shin Jian for a long time. Romantic? Give me a break. You don't know the half of it. He got involved with a cotton mill worker. Her husband found out, and gave him such a beating that he ended up with a broken arm. And don't even get me started about his wife and son. After losing their child, his wife would often go out searching alone. One day, she left and never came back. As for the son, if he truly loved his boy, would he have been fooling around with other women? TSK, if you ask me. It's all just for show, pure performance for the neighbors. You have no idea. As the neighborhood director spoke, our group passed by the rundown house's courtyard gate. In the yard, a man who looked to be in his 60s or 70s was chasing after a group of kids who had sneaked in to steal fruit. Get out of here, you little rascals. Come back again and I'll break your legs. This is Nyan Nyan's favorite peach. I've been saving it just for her. All of you, get out of here, now. Perhaps sensing something, the old man in the yard suddenly glanced in our direction almost instinctively, but not one of us looked back. He just gave us a steady glance before looking away. 9. Shin Jian, extra story. I had just arrived home when I heard that Ran Ran had fallen into the river. My heart was utterly shattered. I stumbled my way to the riverbank, but all I saw was that lone shoe, not a soul in sight. Without a second thought, I stripped off my clothes and plunged into the river, but absolutely nothing. Ran Ran, my dear Ran Ran, my son, why did it have to end like this? I just can't believe that Ran Ran, who was so full of life just yesterday, is gone today. Me, how am I supposed to explain this to Nyan Nyan? The sky had already grown dark. I returned home in a daze, utterly distraught, but what I saw was the house pitch dark. And there, in the courtyard, lay a woman motionless, her head smashed. It took me a moment to realize it was Zhou Shui. You bitch. I charged forward and kicked Zhou Shui. Get up, give me back my Ran Ran, give her back to me, get up right now. I said get up. How dare Zhou Shui do this? She actually lost my Ran Ran, my precious Ran Ran. How on earth am I supposed to explain this to Nyan Nyan? I hauled the woman up from the ground. Get moving, you're going to find Ran Ran, now get up. What are you doing? I heard someone shout sharply, then a sickening crack, followed by a wave of searing pain. My hand was broken. Of course, Zhou Shui's husband was locked up as well. Her husband thought the child was his. When the child was lost, he beat her within an inch of her life. She was hospitalized for half a month before regaining consciousness, likely due to head trauma. She became somewhat unhinged. After Zhou Shui's husband was imprisoned, her family took her back home, but before long, they threw her out. She was wandering the streets all day like a madwoman, and not long after, I saw her once. That time, I saw her with a huge baby bump. No one could tell who the father was. No one knew when she gave birth. But by the time people saw her again, her belly was flat. The neighborhood committee was concerned about the negative impact of her behavior, so they paid to have her admitted to a psychiatric hospital. I heard the treatment had mixed results. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. When she's lucid, she always says I'm the one who's sick. When she's confused, she insists there's nothing wrong with me. This made it impossible for anyone to tell whether she was actually ill or not. I went to see her once. I was horrified to see her being subjected to electric shocks, force-fed large amounts of medication, and tied to the bed day and night. It broke my heart to see her like that. Of course, it wasn't for Zhou Shui, it was for Nyan Nyan, my dear Nyan Nyan. Was she living this kind of life back when she was here? I couldn't help but slap myself hard across the face. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. I gave Nian Nian's child to Zhou Shui. From that day on, Nian Nian never had a single good day. I selfishly thought Zhou Shui was the pitiful one, so I gave Ran Ran to her, thinking we could just have another baby with Nian Nian, but I never thought Ran Ran would die. I truly never saw it coming, honestly. I'm in no state to care about Zhou Shui's affairs, because Nian Nian is missing. My Nian Nian, my wife, she never came home in those first 2 days after the incident. I thought Nian Nian had gone out again to look for the child. Little did I know, Nian Nian never came back after that. I searched and searched, even lost the motivation to go to work, and soon lost my job. I searched everywhere nearby, and all over the city as well. I know Nian Nian nearly fell into the water several times. I was afraid Nian Nian had gone to the riverbank, so I kept going to look for them, but Nian Nian, I could never find them again. Later, our neighborhood was slated for demolition. Each person would get over 300,000 yuan and an apartment, but I didn't want it. I didn't want the money. I didn't want the spacious apartment either. I just want to keep reciting, no matter what they said. I never nodded in agreement. Eventually, I became the last holdout in this place. Everyone says I've gone mad. I'm not crazy. I have to wait for my Nian Nian. What if she suddenly comes back looking for me one day? She loves me so much. She can't live without me. I absolutely must wait for her here. But I waited and waited. I waited until I needed a cane, until my teeth fell out, until my eyes grew dim with age. Yet my Nian Nian never came back. I miss her so much. What should I do? I told you the child is gone. Gone. She can't be found. Why can't you just let it go? Doctor, here is the body donation agreement. Thank you for handling this. The doctor's voice was full of respect. Comrade Zhou, thank you so much. And thank you for your support and contribution to the medical field. Thank you. Truly, you're too kind. It's my honor to contribute in some small way to our nation's medical progress. Nian Nian, it's really you. My Nian Nian has come back. I struggled to open my eyes, desperate to catch a glimpse of Nian Nian, longing to say I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry. I've been holding these words back for what feels like a lifetime, but I gave it everything I had, only to find it was all in vain. Tears streamed down from the corners of my eyes. Thinking of you, it's truly heartbreaking. I didn't even get to see you one last time. You don't want me anymore. The end. Story 2. In our past life, Xinyan died saving me. With his last breath, he clutched my collar desperately and spoke through gritted teeth. Lin Qingyue, if life could restart, I'd rather have never met you. He resented me for forcing him into marriage using my family's influence. He hated me even more for tearing him apart from his true love, which led to Qin Xiuemei's tragic accidental death. To his dying breath, he refused to forgive me, using his death to paint me as a ruthless schemer in the eyes of the world. After his death, my family's Lin group went bankrupt within 6 months under the onslaught of malicious public backlash. My parents became targets of Qin Xiuemei's vengeful fans and perished in a staged car accident. Consumed by despair and remorse, I leapt from the rooftop as Xinyan's parents hurled curses at me. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day Xinyan and I registered our marriage. This time, I won't repeat past mistakes. My first priority is to sever all ties between Xinyan and me, Lin Qingyue. Even if you force me to marry you, I'll never love you or touch you. Put that foolish hope out of your mind. Xinyan's furious shout echoed in my ears, jolting me awake from my dazed state. Didn't I jump to my death? Why am I seeing Xinyan again, alive and well? Don't touch me. If we're getting married, hurry up. You've got 1 minute to produce the marriage certificate yourself. Xinyan recoiled in disgust, shaking off my hand from his face before throwing the documents at me and storming out. The stinging pain in my hand confirmed this was real. I wasn't dreaming. I'd actually gone back to the day I forced Xinyan into marriage registration. In my past life, Xinyan only married me under duress after I coerced and bribed him. I thought this would mark the beginning of my happiness, but it ended in such a tragic way. Thankfully, heaven took pity and granted me rebirth. This time, I won't repeat my foolish mistakes. Through tear-blurred eyes, I watched his resolute retreating figure, wiped my tears, and resisted the urge to chase after him. He's right. With the Lin family's wealth and influence, what kind of man couldn't I have? This time, let me personally sever this ill-fated relationship. With that thought, I gestured to the nearby bodyguards to bypass Xinyan and bring over Qin Xiuemei, who was hiding in the shadows plotting against me. Lin Qingyue, why did you summon me here? To flaunt your victory. Let me tell you, Even if you forced Taeyun to marry you, his heart has always belonged to me alone. Qin Shuemei lifted her chin haughtily, revealing her slender, snow-white neck like a defiant white swan. What's going on? I sauntered over and remarked coolly, so what, if I want him to? He'll still have to marry me obediently. I deliberately said these things to provoke her. Curious to see how she'd react. In our past life, she'd lurked in the shadows watching us get married, then confronted us with that pitiful unrequited love act just to guilt-trip Xinyun. Then while Xinyun went to get the car, she deliberately provoked me by the roadside with inflammatory remarks, baiting me into making a shoving motion. Truth is, I never pushed her. She grabbed my hand and threw herself backward toward the oncoming traffic, staging the scene to make me look vicious in Xinyun's eyes. Lin Qingyue, even if you have his body, you'll never have his heart. Don't celebrate too soon, just wait, your day of tears will come. Qin Shuemei never bothers to hide her ugly true colors around me. She wasn't wrong. In my past life, I forced Xinyun to marry me, on our wedding day, through her schemes. My husband not only called me vicious but even asked why I didn't just die. No matter how I tried to explain, he never believed me. Those curse-like words pierced my heart like a knife, leaving me utterly broken. Even now, the memory still brings pain. After that, he stopped coming home altogether, yet kept appearing on trending lists with Qin Shuemei all year round. Seeing him just once feels like a pipe dream, let alone anything else. This marriage might as well not exist for all the difference it makes. At this thought, I let out a bitter chuckle and exhaled deeply. Swallowing a storm of emotions, I looked at her and asked, "Did you bring your ID?" Qin Shuemei clutched her bag defensively, eyeing me with suspicion. "What are you up to?" I didn't want to waste words with her, so I snatched her bag and rummaged through it for the ID card. Lin Qingyue, what the hell are you trying to do? Give me back my bag, or Ayun will make you pay for this. I swapped the documents and certificates I was about to submit with Xinyun and Qin Shuemei's. You. Qin Shuemei's eyes widened in speechless shock as her marriage certificate with Xinyun materialized before her. This time, I'll step aside for you too. How you break this news to Xinyun is your call. Lin Qingyue, have you lost your mind? Clutching my aching chest while staring at those crimson marriage certificates, I forced a smile. Call me crazy then. After all, this is the only way I can completely sever all ties with Xinyun. What's taking so long, Lin Qingyue? Are you quite finished? Stepping out of the marriage registration office, I thought Xinyun would have left already. To my surprise, he was still waiting outside. At this point, he merely resented me for coercing him into marriage with my influence. His hatred for me hadn't yet reached its peak. Setting everything else aside, Xinyun is truly an exceptional person, kind, handsome, always ready to help others, and academically brilliant. The only flaw I can find in him is that he doesn't love me back. In my past life, I was stubbornly blind. He was never meant to be trapped, yet I confined him in stagnant misery until he ultimately died saving me from an accident. How deeply must he have resented me to say he'd rather never have met me in his final moments? Maybe fate brought me back today to make me let go of this obsession and stop being foolish. With that thought, I composed myself, feeling a newfound sense of relief. Xinyun. Life truly gave us a second chance. This time, let's pretend we never met. The price of loving you is too high. I simply can't bear it anymore. I know exactly how agonizing it is to be separated from the one you love. I've also witnessed firsthand how consumed by regret and self-blame he was after Qin Shuemei's tragic death in our past life. In that case, I'll step aside for them. Lin Qingyue, who are you trying to fool with this pitiful act? Don't think your crocodile tears will soften my heart. Xinyun looked at me with mixed emotions. For a fleeting moment when he instinctively reached out, I genuinely thought he was going to wipe my tears. I didn't mean to cry, but I just couldn't hold it back. Anyone who gets a second chance after such a catastrophic ending would be overwhelmed with emotions, wouldn't they? Hurry up and dry those tears. Don't let mom and dad see you like this, or they'll think I bullied you again. Xinyun turned away in frustration, clenching his hastily withdrawn hand. Yes, mom and dad are still waiting for me. I can't worry them any longer. The thought of seeing my parents soon instantly lifted my gloomy mood. I completely missed the strange look Xinyun gave me. What are you doing? Let me hold on to the marriage certificate for now. In a few days, I'll give you a huge surprise. Xinyun suddenly tried to grab the marriage certificate from me, giving me quite a scare. I haven't figured out how to tell him about this yet. So I'll just head home first and think it over. It's not that I wanted to see it, I just know how forgetful you are. Don't be careless and lose the certificate. I won't accompany you to get a replacement if that happens. Xinyun spoke irritably, feeling something was off. Got it, don't worry. When the surprise arrives, you'll be thanking me. I don't want your surprises. Just stay out of trouble from now on, Shin-yun. Thank you for saving me time and again. Believe it or not, I truly loved you in the past. I can't bring myself to hate someone who died saving my life, but with a lifetime of blood debt between us, fulfilling his final wish is the last thing I can do for him in this life. Lin Qingyue, I told you, I saved you not because I like you. I'd save anyone in danger. Stop reading too much into this, I know, so this time, as you wish, we'll be strangers. When Shin-yun gazed into those dewy, lively eyes, his heart suddenly faltered, as if something precious was slipping silently away. Silence. Little did he know then, that final glance would become the enduring pain of his lifetime. I've booked our engagement banquet at Grand Noble Hotel in a few days. Make sure your parents dress formally. I know you dislike publicity, so rest assured only our immediate families will attend. Got it. Are you done? Can you leave now? Shin-yun, visibly out of patience, strode toward the driver's seat. I smirked and walked the opposite way, calling over my shoulder, Shin-yun, this time it's really goodbye, for good. With him still staring in shock, I waved and drove off without looking back. Shin-yun sat in the car, watching the taillights disappear, letting out a bitter laugh, when he walked out of the marriage registration office earlier. The one who always clung to him didn't even chase after him to beg him to stay, so this was her game all along. What a petty woman. In an unnoticed corner, Qin Shuime, who'd witnessed everything, chose this moment to make the call. Yun, are you alright? Why do you ask? Did something happen? No, Yun, I just wanted to ask, about you and Lin Qingyue. We got married today. I'm sorry, Shuime, for only telling you now. You got married. Did Lin Qingyue say anything about it? What was she supposed to say, or did she come to give you trouble, too? No, I just wanted to know how you feel about getting the marriage certificate today. Not really, it's just marriage. Consider it giving our parents some peace of mind. Alright, as long as you're not overthinking it. After hanging up the phone, Qin Shuime's anxious heart finally settled. She didn't know why Lin Qingyue would do such a thing, but she sensed there was more to it. Could it be she'd discovered something? As I rushed through the door, I collided headlong with someone. Ouch, what's this hard thing? My head still ringing from the knock. Lin Qingyue. A deep, magnetic male voice sounded above me. When I looked up, I found myself lost in a pair of mesmerizing eyes. Sweetheart, why are you back? Weren't you supposed to register your marriage with Shin-yun today? Mom, Dad, I've changed my mind about marrying Shin-yun. That's why I'm back. And who is this? I looked at the man before me, suddenly realizing he still had his arm around me. Blushing, I took a few steps back. This is outrageous. Do you think marriage is some childish game? You can't just change your mind whenever you please. Thank goodness. So you didn't go through with marrying that Shin fellow after all. Before I could even speak, the handsome guy next to me got even more excited than I was, when he finally realized what was happening. His flustered blush made him look exactly like an adorable golden retriever, all soft and endearing. It wasn't until later that I realized he was actually that chubby little boy from next door who used to look like a New Year painting doll when we were kids. I remember how utterly adorable he was back then, all milky and sweet. Whenever we played house, I'd always insist on being the mom while he had to be the dad. But then his whole family moved abroad. The day he left, I cried my heart out. Who would have thought after all these years, he'd grow so tall and turn out this handsome? I barely had time to wipe my drool. My shallow tendencies were showing, when Dad already figured out what I'd been up to. Lin Qingyue, weren't you swearing you'd die before marrying anyone but Shin-yun? Now you're letting her marry another woman. Are you trying to kill me? Ow. Dad, calm down. Let's talk this through. Calm down. How can I possibly calm down? You switched people at the last minute. What the hell were you thinking? I had no other choice. Dad, my birth chart clashes with Shin-yun's. If we marry, it'll bring disaster to our whole family. What nonsense. Looks like someone's asking for a spanking. Mom, help me. Cover for me quick. In my panic, I grabbed the nearest person and ducked for cover. Only when he firmly shielded me did I notice my mom watching us from a distance. Caught between amusement and exasperation. Uncle Xiaoye must have thought this through carefully before acting. Right. He suddenly turned to look at me earnestly, giving me a subtle wink. Seeing my father's livid face, I quickly tried to smooth things over. You're right, Dad. Please don't be mad at me, it's not good for your health. My mother chimed in at just the right moment. Weren't you the one worried Shin-yun might mistreat our daughter after marriage? So why are you angry now that things turned out this way? You two just keep spoiling her. Look what you've turned her into. Though Dad said this, he was actually concerned I might have suffered some emotional distress. After my repeated explanations, he finally cooled down. If you don't want to marry, then don't. Our Lin family can certainly afford to keep you, just don't regret your decision later. Since my rebirth, many things have changed because of the differences in my actions. For instance, Xinyan actually took the initiative to call me, asking when I'd return and even offering to pick me up. I happened to see Qin Xuemei's social media update, so I forwarded her location to him. After that, he never contacted me again. Naturally, I stopped reaching out to him and shifted my focus to the Lin family's internal affairs. Seeing me like this, my mother sighed and asked with concern, Yeah, have you really fallen out of love with Xinyan? Everyone had witnessed how deeply I loved Xinyan in the past. To be with him, I gave not just money and influence, but my whole heart. In my past life, my parents noticed how miserable I'd become after marriage. When they realized Xinyan would never love me back, they asked if I'd considered letting go. They said forced affection bears no sweetness. If it's truly hopeless, perhaps I should move on. Life's too long to waste on unrequited love that only hurts everyone involved. Xinyan was wonderful, but what they truly wanted was my happiness. Yet letting go sounds simple. To me, Xinyan wasn't just my first love, he'd been my savior, rescuing me from dire straits time and again like a guardian angel. I'm utterly, hopelessly in love with him. Even if he doesn't return my feelings, even if he detests me, my heart still races uncontrollably whenever I see him. Besides, it's not entirely impossible that I could make Xinyan gradually fall for me. At the very least, his parents adore me, and they can't stand Qin Xuemei. But alas, one wrong move leads to another. What's forced can never truly be mine. Mom, don't worry, I've made up my mind. I'll stay with you and Dad for the rest of my life. Okay, yeah, I'm glad you've come around. But, have you noticed Xiao Zhou treats you differently? Thinking about how I kept bumping into him lately, I stammered awkwardly. Does he? Originally, your father and I considered arranging a marriage with the Qi family. After all, you used to claim him as yours when you were little. Mom, it's just that later, when we saw how much you loved Xinyan, your father, and I decided to let it go. Alright Mom, I don't want to think about anything now. I just want to spend time with you and Dad, and I'd really love to have your homemade fruit milfai. Of course, sweetheart, I'll make it for you right away. The moment I turned around, I saw a tall figure standing on the balcony. Qixing Zhou, what are you doing on my balcony? Little Yuer's memory fails her. This connecting ladder was installed because you begged our parents relentlessly as a child, just so you could pester me at my place. That was all in the past. I won't bother you anymore. How heartbreaking. But no matter. If you won't pester me, then I'll just pester you instead. What exactly are you trying to do, Lin Qingyue? Do you believe in reincarnation? My entire body stiffened as he enunciated each word. The reason you let Xinyan marry someone else wasn't due to astrological incompatibility. You've been reborn too, haven't you? I glanced back at the door, then pulled him along as I walked out. Come with me. At a quiet cafe, I finally asked, how could you possibly? Because in our past life, I returned too, on the day you got your marriage license. But, you're wondering why you've never noticed me before, right? Qixing Zhou gave a bitter smile. Back then, your heart and eyes were only for Xinyan. What difference would my presence have made? I'm sorry, this isn't the time for apologies. He showed me a photo and asked, Xiao Yuer, Auntie said you're preparing a wedding banquet for this woman. Is that true? I nodded while looking at Qin Xuemei's photo. Yes. What about it? 3. He told me with a grave expression. This woman is no good, I know, but what can I do when the groom set on her? Xuemei Qin's scheming nature wasn't some recent development. In my past life, I even caught a glimpse of her stepping out of a luxury car dressed provocatively. When I tried to tell Yunshin about it, Xuemei somehow sensed my intention and began sabotaging me with constant petty maneuvers in front of him. Yun kept taking her side every time, his annoyance with me turning into outright hatred. He finally warned me that if I kept pushing my luck, he'd file for divorce. Those were my darkest days, an existence worse than death itself. No one could bear being hated like this by someone they love. Disheartened, I was ready to give up, until Xinyan's parents knelt before me in tears, begging me to save him from being ruined by a woman like Qin Xuemei. Their tear-swollen eyes softened my resolve, summoning my last strength. I resolved to try one final time, but before I could act, Qin Xuemei's misdeeds were exposed to the world. Overnight, her innocent girl-next-door image completely crumbled, followed by an overwhelming wave of online harassment and vicious attacks across the internet. Soon after, she held a press conference looking visibly distraught, tearfully claiming the online reports were malicious slander against her. She also hinted that the daughter of a certain conglomerate, having failed to win someone's affection, deliberately spread rumors to tarnish her reputation and drive her out of the industry. The way she phrased it, even a fool could tell exactly who she was referring to. Back then, I had no idea she was harboring a shocking conspiracy against me and the Lin family. After this incident, Shin-yun demanded a divorce and publicly admitted online that he was Qin Xiuemei's alleged sugar daddy, though he claimed their relationship was purely platonic. Nothing escapes the internet sleuths. It was common knowledge during our college days that Shin-yun had an unattainable crush. He and Qin Xiuemei made a perfect match. His talent complemented her beauty, and their constant public appearances together cemented their status as the golden couple in everyone's eyes, though they never made it official and Shin-yun never verbally confirmed their relationship. This very ambiguity drove their shippers wild with speculation. So when netizens dug up that Shin-yun was actually married to me, they took Xiuemei's previous comments and ran wild with malicious fan theories. My family and I got swept into this scandal, becoming targets of public condemnation. After enduring daily horrors like being pelted with rotten eggs, spat on, and even stalked and beaten, I completely broke down. I called Shin-yun in tears, demanding a divorce. I thought he'd agree without hesitation. But he said divorcing during this media frenzy would only fuel malicious rumors about Qin Xiuemei. To protect her reputation, he chose to sacrifice me instead. My heart turned to ashes in that moment. All hope for him was gone. The Lin family and I kept facing vicious attacks, yet he never once stood up for me. Ironically, it was an unknown online group called Moon Guardians that quietly spoke up for us. That's when I realized forcing things never ends well. I wanted to end it all. But Qin Xiuemei's tragic death spiraled everything out of control. The Lin family went bankrupt, my parents died, and I, who should have been the one killed in that street accident, became Shin-yun instead. In the end, everyone called me vicious, saying I was the one who deserved to die. Even the Shin parents who adored me at first blamed me as the jinx who brought death upon everyone. Overwhelmed by unbearable pressure, I climbed to the rooftop in despair and took that fatal leap. Xiaoyue, what's wrong? Qi Xingzhou's frantic voice snapped me out of those agonizing memories. It hurts so much, my heart is breaking. Sobs. Even after returning to reality, I remained trapped in that abyss of despair and anguish, unable to free myself. Hush now. Don't cry. There's nothing to fear. I'm here. This time, I swear I'll keep you safe. Qi Xingzhou cradled me in his arms, murmuring words of comfort with a voice that carried unshakable resolve, soothing my shattered nerves. 4. When my breathing finally steadied, he suddenly dropped to one knee before me, his expression more solemn than I'd ever seen. Little Moon, he whispered, will you marry me? His sudden move caught me completely off guard. Before I could say anything, someone rushed over and knocked him to the ground with a punch. Qi Xingzhou, Lin Qingyue. It wasn't until someone pulled me back that I realized the assailant was Shin-yun, with the furious look of a husband catching his wife cheating. His eyes bloodshot as he glared at me. So this is why you've refused to come home, fooling around with some random man. I slapped him across the face before rushing to help the other man up. Are you okay? Qi Xingzhou fluttered his long lashes, leaning against me with a pained expression. Little Moon, it hurts. I'll take you to the hospital. Lin Qingyue, I'm your husband. Where do you think you're going with him? Shin-yun blocked my way, looking utterly devastated. Glancing at Qin Xiuemei nearby, I said, on our wedding day, you said we'd live separate lives. If you've changed your mind and want a real marriage, shall we go home and consummate it right now? Shin-yun flushed and pushed me away. Lin Qingyue, have you no shame as a woman? Didn't you claim to be my husband? Isn't it only natural for a wife to sleep with her own husband? Just as Shin-yun was about to speak again, Qin Xiuemei cut him off, not in the mood for further argument. I simply said, see you at tomorrow's wedding banquet, and left. Go ahead and cry if you need to. No one here will laugh at you. As we left the hospital, Qi Xingzhou noticed my silence and patted my shoulder. You look pitiful enough. Lean on me if you need to. Are you serious? I mean what you said about us getting married. Qi Xingzhou froze mid-step, his expression turning grave and earnest. My little Yue, coming back to marry you is what I've strived for across 2 lifetimes. I was shaken by the depth of emotion in his eyes, and finally asked him for more time. It wouldn't be fair to him otherwise. On the day of the banquet, Shin-yun rose before dawn, waiting in the parlor while counting the minutes, his gaze fixed on the door. By 11 in the morning. Only when his father summoned him to leave did he snap out of his trance. Has Lin Qingyue arrived? Mrs. Shin gave him a strange look. Didn't Qingyue tell us to meet directly at Xinghao Hotel for lunch? She didn't inform you. Breaking the awkward silence, Mr. Shin spoke with exasperation. Oh come now. That young lady's been single-handedly organizing this banquet. It's understandable if she missed notifying everyone. Let's go before we're late. Listen Yun, Qingyu is truly a good girl. Though she pressured you into marriage, remember our Shin family owes our current standing to her family's support. Don't make things too awkward later, Mrs. Shin had expected her son to storm off in a huff like he always did after such conversations. To her surprise, Shin Yun awkwardly muttered, "Got it, Mom," exchanging a knowing glance. Mr. and Mrs. Shin smiled in quiet contentment. A mother knows her son best. She could clearly see Shin Yun harbored no dislike for Lin Qingyue in his heart. He's just too proud to be called a freeloader, that's all, as she sees it. With the Lin family's status and Qingyue being both beautiful and charming, what's the big deal if people joke about him mooching off her? Some men would kill for that opportunity. Who knows what her son's so hung up about? Uncle, Auntie, Xiuemei Qin, what are you doing here? Mrs. Shin's face immediately darkened when she ran into Xiuemei Qin and her parents at the hotel entrance. Qingyue Lin invited us. Didn't she mention it to you? Exactly, in-laws. How could we possibly miss such an important occasion? Who said we're in-laws? This is my son and daughter-in-law's wedding banquet. Don't go around using the wrong titles and causing misunderstandings. Mrs. Shin's words instantly cast an awkward silence over the gathering. Qin Xiuemei's parents never expected such cold treatment. Flushing with anger, they demanded, "What exactly do you mean by this, Mom, Dad?" Qin Xiuemei tried to intervene. But Shin Yun diffused the tension with a single remark, "It's such a fine day, let's not spoil it, we can talk inside." His face darkened visibly, as if struggling to contain something. He kept checking his phone during the entire journey, but disappointingly, there was still no response. His stern expression softened only after entering the banquet hall, where staff guided him through the venue to see its warm, romantic decorations. He mused that someone who cherished him so deeply couldn't possibly have stopped loving him suddenly. It was all leading up to this moment. Qingyue said she kept it low-key to avoid upsetting you, but the exquisite food, drinks, and lavish decor show she poured her heart into every detail. Madame Shin's words instantly dissolved Shin Yun's earlier displeasure, unbeknownst even to himself. He found the wedding banquet today rather agreeable, deep down. A secret flicker of anticipation had taken root. What kind of surprise might that clingy nuisance have in store for him today? Hello everyone, welcome to the wedding banquet I, Lin Qingyue, have prepared for Shin Yun. As my image appeared on the central screen of the banquet hall, both the Shen and Qin families had already gathered. Now let's reveal today's biggest surprise. Shin Yun, wishing you marital bliss. Through the screen, we locked eyes as an enormous cake was slowly wheeled in. Someone handed Shin Yun a gift box, and only after seeing him accept it did I continue speaking. 5. Shin Yun, I'm truly sorry for all the trouble I've caused you over these years by clinging to you. At least it's not too late to make things right. Today's wedding banquet is my gift to you and Qin Xiuemei. I know she's the one you love, so I wish you both eternal happiness and a beautiful family. You're finally free. I won't disturb you anymore. The moment I ended the call, I saw Shin Yun running toward me, his face a mask of shock and panic. He must be furious at my meddling. After all, I just made the biggest decision of his life for him. Even if he resents me, I won't regret it. In his heart, Qin Xiuemei is beautiful and kind. How could he bear the regret of not marrying such a wonderful woman he loves so deeply? Tossing the remote and snapping the SIM card, I turned to Qi Xingzhou. Let's go abroad to heal, not from heartbreak, but soul weariness. I needed proper rest to regain the strength to start anew. Qi Xingzhou indulged my every whim, and that overseas trip stretched into 3 years. 3 years later, I returned as a business tycoon, dominating the financial world with no equal. In my past life, I did sense the Lin family was being set up, but by the time I realized it, it was too late to turn the tide. Darling, trying to run away from me again. I should just lock you up. I just settled into my plane seat when a creepy voice sounded beside me. I massaged my temples in exasperation. Qi Xingzhou, have you no self-respect? A grown man clinging to a woman all day. How pathetic is that? Humph, the doctor said my stomach's weak. I'm meant to be a kept man. You know that perfectly well, sis. As he spoke, he deployed his usual trump card, puppy dog eyes brimming with manufactured misery. Are you tired of me? Planning to run back to your ex? I heard they've been searching for you like mad these past 3 years, rain or shine. Tell me, are you leaving me for them? I yanked his ear. I haven't even confronted you about all those secrets you kept, and here you are playing the victim. Ow, darling, I'm sorry, ease up. Hearing his whimper, I hugged him with tearful eyes. You fool, hearts aren't made of stone. Why didn't you tell me your last life ended because you stopped Qin Xiuemei from destroying the Lin family, at the cost of your own? No wonder his assistant said he woke up one day and immediately had someone investigate Qin Shuemei, then rushed back to the country in a frenzy. Turns out in our past lives, after returning, he saw I'd already married Xinyan and chose to stay out of sight. He'd been quietly watching over me from the shadows all along, only stepping in when those incidents occurred. That team called Moon Keepers, they were his people too. He discovered Qin Shuemei was secretly conspiring with the Lin family's sworn enemies to bring them down. After being exposed, he became a hunted man. The Qi family had no domestic power base to protect him. With their enemies alerted and closing in from all sides, he chose mutual destruction with Qin Shuemei as his final act. Darling, please don't cry, it breaks my heart. Serves you right for not speaking up. I thought you were mad at me, that night when I was drunk. I didn't mean to. I know, I was the one who initiated things that day. Honey, you can hit me or yell at me, just don't give me the silent treatment, okay? What? Shi Hangzhou finally caught on, gazing at me with those dewy eyes, utterly innocent. For 3 years, he'd been seducing me with these very tricks, until I finally caved. Forget it if you didn't hear me, pretend I said nothing. Shi Hangzhou, what are you? Let go, never letting go, not in this lifetime. My wife finally loves me. I'm the luckiest man alive. Who said I love you? I just felt bad seeing you cry like that, so I gave you a little comfort. The love-struck pup couldn't care less. For a bite of meat, crying was nothing. He'd go even further if needed. Right after landing, we bumped into an acquaintance at the airport. After years apart, Xinyan had grown more composed and reserved, yet remained just as striking. Honey, you've been staring at that guy for ages. Aren't you worried I might get jealous? As an arm snaked around her waist, the bristling puppy began marking his territory. Stop fooling around, you're yelling at me. I'm calling Mom right now to tell her you're bullying me. Have you forgotten the Lin family motto? Chu Xingzhou. Alright honey, let's hurry home. I'm starving and craving Mom's cooking. She said she made all your favorites. His endless chatter in my ear gave me a splitting headache, leaving no room to mind anyone else. 6. Let's go home already, you're so loud. As I pulled him past Xinyan, he grabbed my wrist. What are you doing? She's my wife, Lin Qingyue. Xinyan ignored Qi Xingzhou's outburst, looking at me with a mix of anger, urgency, and hurt. Don't you have anything to say to me? I looked at him calmly. Didn't we settle this 3 years ago? What else is there to say? That was your unilateral decision. Did you ever consider how I felt? Xinyan actually started crying by the end of his words, and Qi Xingzhou nearly lost his temper again upon seeing his tears. I held him down firmly and said to Xinyan, Lin Qingyue never regrets her choices, except for loving you. You're the one who said you wished we'd never met. Xinyan, I'm just granting your wish. I didn't. Those aren't my words. Even if you haven't said it now. The day will come when you'll say it out of sheer disgust. Cutting our losses now is best for both of us. No, that's not it. Honey, how much longer are you going to chat with this guy? Hurry home before our son starves. I guiltily swatted away the hand on my belly and walked forward, wondering how he knew I was pregnant. Is it that obvious? The 2 men behind me exchanged a silent glance, with the feisty younger one ultimately gaining the upper hand, upon returning to China. The Lin family acquired their rival Hua family's company with absolute dominance. In my past life, Qin Shuemei was sent by the Hua family to sabotage me, colluding with the mole in the Lin group to bring down the Lin family. After years apart without me as her foil, Qin Shuemei has long been reduced to a discarded pawn. Rumor has it she still refuses to divorce Xinyan, since he's now one of Yunqing's rising elites, her last remaining lifeline. But Xinyan no longer defends her like in our previous lives. His obsession has now shifted to me. The only pity is, with the Qi and Lin families watching over me, I'm protected tighter than Fort Knox. Anyone I don't wish to see won't lay eyes on me again till the day I die, until Xinyan went berserk, posting desperate pleas online begging to meet me. Before going, I had no idea he'd been dreaming about our past lives. By the time I realized what was happening, Qin Shuemei had already dragged us to an abandoned house. She'd completely lost her mind. Lin Qingyue, you're the one who drove me to this. How dare you keep living your perfect life while I suffer? Qin Shuemei, you brought this on yourself when you hurt people first. Let Yaya go right now. Yaya, Xinyan, I'm your lawful wife. This woman tossed you aside like trash on your wedding day. How can you not hate her? Xinyan Chao looked at me, his eyes filled with deep affection and regret. His eyes red, he began, Yaya, you've actually misunderstood me all along. From beginning to end, you're the only one I've ever loved. In my past life, I admit I initially disliked your bullying, but later, I genuinely wanted to build a life with you. However, Qin Shuemei ruined everything, creating endless misunderstandings between us. After I discovered what she'd done, I wanted to protect you, but I couldn't stop it. Enough, I don't want to hear it, I cut him off. Even if what you say is true, the one who hurt me the most is you. You claim to love me, yet all I've ever felt from you is coldness and contempt. You enabled her to hurt me and showered her with all your affection. Is this what you call love? No, that's not how it is. Yeah, I was blinded. I didn't realize. It doesn't matter anymore. You said if life could restart, we'd pretend we never met. I hope you'll keep your word. Yeah. Can't you? Just give me one more chance. I truly know I was wrong. After you vanished from the wedding that day, I finally saw how terribly mistaken I'd been. Haven't you said enough? Qin Shuime, pushed beyond endurance, brandished her razor-sharp dagger. None of you will leave here unharmed today. Xinyun, I'm giving you one last chance. Promise to live properly with me from now on, and I'll let you go. What do you say? If you stay silent, I'll kill Lin Qingyue first. No, I promise you, but you have to let her go first. Really, you'd truly let me become your real Mrs. Shen? Yes, release her and we'll go home to live properly together. Qin Shuime seemed swayed by his words and began walking toward me. Just as the blade was about to sever the rope, she abruptly changed direction, descending into complete madness. Ha, Xinyun, do you really think I'm stupid? You capitalists are experts at kicking the ladder after climbing up. You all deserve to die, especially you, Lin Qingyue. With those words, she lunged straight for my heart with the dagger. Xinyun's eyes bulged with fury as he broke free from the ropes. A gunshot rang out the instant before the blade could pierce my heart. Then, deafening silence, Qi Hangzhou burst in with his men, trembling as he held me, his voice choked with emotion. Little you, I'm here. I slowly wrapped my arms around him, patting his back to soothe him. The next moment, he burst into tears, sobbing, you scared me to death. Do you have any idea how terrified I was? I sighed helplessly and coaxed him gently. Don't you remember we practiced karate during those years abroad? If it weren't for worrying about your son, I'd have gotten away long ago. The sniffling man looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. I think I just hallucinated. Honey, say that again. Hiss, Chixingzhao, my stomach hurts. Get me to the hospital now. We might lose your son. Xiaoyue, don't scare me like this. Call an ambulance, quick. After this incident, the Lin family completely eradicated all potential threats. Xinyun's company was caught in the fallout, forcing him to sell the business and leave Yunqing with his parents. On the very day of my grand wedding with Qi Xingzhou, he had someone deliver an extravagant gift. That jealous someone quietly had it handled to spare my feelings, with gentle breezes and bright scenery. Everything heralds the beginning of happiness. The end. When the wealthy family came to adopt, my sister decisively left with them, leaving only me to rely on my grandmother. She thought she would enjoy wealth and splendor from then on, but the wealthy family's son turned out to be a madman who abused her daily. The parents were biased, only scolding and beating her. In the end, she went insane, stabbed the entire family, and was arrested by the police. Meanwhile, I became the youngest academician at the Agricultural Academy, developed high-end wheat varieties, was nominated for a special award, and had a boundless future. My sister fled and stormed into the awards ceremony, killing me with hatred in her heart. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day the wealthy family adopted me. My sister rushed into our grandmother's arms first. Her eyes filled with venom. Little sister, this time, it's your turn to go to hell. But she didn't know, no matter which path she chose, without using her brain, it would only lead to death. And my dream has always been just one: develop agriculture, change the world. 1. Have you made up your minds? Who wants to come with me? Inside the shabby little house stood a couple dressed in splendid attire. The woman gazed at us tenderly and asked softly. They were the prestigious Fu family from Ningqing, here to choose one child between my sister and me for adoption. Su Yinglong froze momentarily, her eyes flashing with wild joy before she shoved me aside and threw herself into Grandma's arms, pouting, I want to stay with Grandma. The woman turned her gaze to me, her eyes crinkling warmly as she said gently, then it's you who'll be coming with us. Is that right? Su Yinglong chimed in from the side. Yes. Let the little sister go home with you. Grandma was rarely treated with such affection by Su Yinglong. Somewhat taken aback, she awkwardly reached out to pat the girl's head. Before this, Su Yinglong had despised Grandma for being poor, always ordering her around and calling her an old hag. Even when she craved snacks in the middle of a stormy night, she would wake up her elderly grandmother and order her to go buy things. Grandma found it somewhat strange. She knew that Su Yinglong despised the poor and admired the rich, always dissatisfied with their family's poverty. Why was it that when the wealthy man came to their home to adopt a child, Contrary to expectations, Su Yinglong chose not to follow the wealthy family's departure, but to stay at home. Grandmother couldn't understand why Su Yinglong made the unprecedented choice to remain in this impoverished household. But I knew the reason all too well, because both Su Yinglong and I had been reborn. I knelt on the ground and kowtowed deeply to Grandma 3 times. Grandma, thank you for taking care of me all these years. If I ever get the chance, I will repay you. After kowtowing, I stood up. I walked calmly toward the Fu couple. I'll go with you, too. In her past life, her sister took the lead, rushing into the arms of the Fu couple and decisively choosing to leave with them. She thought that by entering the wealthy Fu family, she would henceforth enjoy a happy, princess-like life. Little did she know, the Fu family had ulterior motives for adopting a daughter. The Fu family had a son named Fu Jing, who was dignified and handsome in appearance. What a pity, he's a manic-depressive lunatic. When her sister Su Yinglong entered the Fu family, what awaited her wasn't the meticulous care of wealthy parents or her brother's domineering pampering, but rather the abuse of a madman. Seeing Fu Jing's condition had stabilized somewhat, the Fu parents decided to send him to school. Worried he might struggle alone, they resolved to adopt a child. On her first day entering the Fu household, Su Yinglong was filled with joy, eager to build a good relationship with Fu Jing. However, Fu Jing detested the sudden appearance of a stranger in his home. Far from welcoming her with a smile, he directly slapped Su Yinglong across the face. The Fu parents were unfazed by this behavior and paid no attention to the swelling on Su Yinglong's face. They merely issued a cold command for her to keep an eye on her older brother. At school, her classmates similarly looked down on Su Yinglong for being an adopted daughter. The crown prince of the school, Zhou Chongji, even took the lead in bullying Su Yinglong, making her school life utterly miserable. After returning home, whenever Fu Jing's parents discovered he had an episode at school resulting in self-injury, they would whip Su Yinglong with a cane and make her kneel all night as punishment. Su Yinglong had a hard life. In contrast to her, my life was very peaceful. After Su Yinglong left, Grandma devoted all her unconditional love to me. I studied diligently at school every day, and after school, I helped my grandmother sell baked sweet potatoes. Although life is tough, I feel truly happy. Later, an academician from the Academy of Agricultural Sciences came to inspect our school and immediately took a liking to me. Living up to expectations, I successfully entered agricultural school, joined the Academy of Agricultural Sciences, conducted experiments under the academician's guidance, and developed high-end wheat varieties. This even led to my nomination as the youngest candidate for the top Science and Technology Award. A bright future with boundless prospects, driven to madness by torment. Su Yinglong stabbed her entire family and was arrested by the police. It's just a pity I couldn't make it onto the podium. On the day of the award ceremony, Su Yinglong escaped from prison. Seeing me surrounded by the crowd at the center, she turned green with envy and stabbed me over a dozen times in a frenzied attack. So in this second chance at life, she chose without hesitation to stay by Grandma's side, determined to push me into the abyss of the Fu family. As I stepped out the door, I glanced back one last time. Grandma gazed at me with reluctant longing, her face full of unwillingness to part. Meanwhile, my sister Su Yinglong leaned against Grandma's embrace, her eyes fixed on me with nothing but pure venom. She sneered coldly, "Little sister, this time, it's your turn to go to hell." She was certain that once I entered the Fu family, I would suffer the same torment as her in her past life. But doesn't Su Yinglong, who has already died once, understand by now? No matter which path she chooses, a brainless person like her has only one fate, death. 3. Su Yinglong guessed right. From the very first day I entered the Fu household, I knew Fu Jing was a complete madman through and through. My parents brought me home and led me to a handsome young man with deep, dark eyes. They looked at Fu Jing and said softly, "Xiao Jing, from now on, she will be your little sister. At school, she'll take care of you." With that, Mrs. Fu pushed me forward, presenting me to Fu Jing like some kind of toy. "From now on, your only task is to take good care of your brother. Don't let him suffer even the slightest harm, understand?" I looked at the boy before me. Understood. After the Fu family parents left, Fu Jing lazily walked up to me, looking down at me with disdain. After a long pause, he sneered, "What kind of trash dares to call herself my sister?" The next moment, he reached out and forcefully slammed my head onto the table. It made a loud thud. His gaze was filled with violence, looking at me with contempt as if I were an insignificant ant. Idiot. At this moment, Fu's mother, who had forgotten something, happened to turn back. She saw me in a sorry state, with Fu Jing gripping my neck and pinning me on the table. She didn't show any surprise. After retrieving her item, she passed by Fu Jing, glanced at me, and said indifferently, Fu Qiushi. Keep a close watch, don't let your brother get hurt, choked by the neck. I could only roll my eyes to look at Fu Jing and softly replied, understood, I'll take good care of him. Watching Fu Jing's parents appear concerned yet actually indifferent towards him, I think Fu Jing is pitiful, truly pitiful. Fu's parents were busy with business trips and left quickly. After confirming they had truly left, I reached out, grabbed Fu Jing's hair, and yanked it down hard. My voice was calm, let go of me. You brainless lunatic. Fu Jing winced in pain from my movement. He involuntarily loosened his grip, glaring at me angrily, how dare you insult me? I'll tell mom and dad and have you kicked out. I sidestepped Fu Jing, curving my eyes slightly as I smiled gently. Mom saw everything just now, you were pinching me, and I didn't even dare to resist, so how could I possibly dare to insult you, brother? As we went upstairs, I warned Fu Jing, you'd better behave yourself and not cause any trouble before our parents get back. After saying that, I ignored Fu Jing's incredulous expression and walked away directly, let Fu Jing rage outside, slamming the door so hard it shook the heavens. I remained completely unmoved, for Su Yinglong wasn't content with just pushing me into the abyss. She started a live stream, putting on a fragile act, tearfully holding up her phone to film. With her pure appearance and disheveled black hair, Su Yinglong looked even more innocent. Pitifully, she said, my sister and I were raised by our grandmother since childhood, and I have deep feelings for her. Choosing between a life of luxury in a wealthy family and the long-term companionship of family bonds, because grandma's health isn't good, I ultimately decided to stay by her side, hoping to spend more time with her. After saying this, Su Yinglong paused and let out a bitter laugh, but my younger sister chose to enter the wealthy family without even looking back, showing no concern whatsoever for how grandma would fare afterwards. I truly believe she's a cold and heartless person. Watching the live stream gain more and more viewers, after hearing Su Yinglong's words, many people followed the public opinion and mercilessly criticized me as an ungrateful wretch. Su Yinglong quickly added, I'm not saying my sister's approach was wrong. Of course I understand that choosing wealth when given the option is human nature. I can understand her actions. Of course, Su Yinglong tucked a strand of hair behind her ear and said softly, I'll always stay by grandma's side. Su Yinglong stared at her phone screen, revealing a smile as pure as the only little white flower growing in a desert. She clenched her fists as if cheering herself on. I'll live well together with grandma. Seeing Su Yinglong's innocent and harmless appearance, many netizens felt heartache for her. Her live stream was also recorded and spread as a video. For a time, everyone praised her as a little white flower blooming from the mud, and I was the greedy and opportunistic ingrate. 5. Unsurprisingly, almost all the students at school had seen this widely circulated video. Young Master Zhou Chongji was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He had never seen such a stubborn girl who, when faced with a choice between money and family, unhesitatingly chose family. Not only that, but she was also strong-willed and harmless. In contrast, my snobbish sister, who despises the poor and fawns over the rich, appears even more malicious and cunning. Zhou Chongji had always looked down upon worldly people like me, so he brought his gang and arrogantly cornered me at the restroom entrance. Zhou Chongji squatted halfway before me, smoking, looking down at me with disdain. He blew smoke into my face. Look at you, how dare a filthy insect like you deserve to study in this school? Zhou Chongji flicked the ash off his cigarette, then pressed the still-burning tip directly onto my arm. I was held down, unable to move. I could only watch as Zhou Chongji's cigarette burned into my skin with a sizzling sound, quickly raising a red, swollen blister. Seeing this, the surrounding boys erupted in mocking jeers. Su Yinglong was called over and happened to witness this scene. Immediately, she widened her eyes, covered her mouth in shock, and exclaimed, how could you do this? Zhou Chongji looked up, lazily stood up, walked to Su Yinglong's side, and chuckled, hey, little one, young master here is helping you get revenge. Don't you like it? Su Yinglong swiftly glanced at me, concealing the triumph in her eyes. Then, she stomped her foot and glared at Zhou Chongji angrily. I don't like this. It's too much. Zhou Chongji watched Su Yinglong scrunch her nose, let out a mocking laugh, grabbed her arm, and pulled her shoulder to walk out. Don't like it. Next time I'll try a different approach. Su Yinglong's voice was sweet and coquettish. Zhou Chongji, how could you treat a classmate like this? It's not allowed. Rounding the corner, Su Yinglong glanced back stealthily, casting me a contemptuous look. Naturally, she was smug. In her past life, Zhou Chongji was the one who bullied her the most at school. This lifetime, with their roles reversed, Zhou Chongji ended up falling for her and helped her bully me instead. But, sister, to live a second life, relying on men, Is this the only trick you've got? 6. During Fu Jing's first few days at school, he behaved calmly, kept to himself, and didn't cause any trouble. But after handing in the exam papers, when I returned to the classroom, I found the place in complete chaos. Fu Jing's desk had been overturned, with books scattered all over the floor. The person who paid respects is no longer here. The classmates' eyes still held fear. They said, Fu Jing was sitting perfectly fine, then suddenly went mad in an instant, smashing everything within reach. I found Fu Jing in an empty classroom, with teachers hesitantly standing at the doorway, none daring to enter. He sat calmly on the only stool in the center of the classroom. With unfathomable violence hidden beneath his eyes, Su Yinglong witnessed this scene, and a flash of venomous hatred crossed her face. The scenes of being tortured by Fu Jing's madness in her past life were still vivid in her mind. She screamed in terror, Fu Jing is a lunatic. He's sick. After taking care of Fu Jing for so long, how could she not know that people experiencing bipolar episodes shouldn't be provoked? I stepped forward and slapped Su Yinglong hard across the face, ordering her. Shut up, don't speak. I slammed her against the wall. Su Yinglong's eyes widened as she was about to scream, but the next second, out of the corner of her eye, she saw Zhou Chongji approaching down the corridor with his entourage. Su Yinglong's eyes flickered as tears began to fall, sobbing as she said, how could you bully me like this? Zhou Chongji witnessed the scene, his jaw tightening in anger as he stormed over. Hey, Fu Qiushi, are you looking to die? But I completely ignored Zhou Chongji. Turning around, I stepped into the classroom. No one dared to enter and forcefully slammed the door behind me, facing Fu Jing's suddenly raised terrifying gaze. With calm eyes, I extended the medicine bottle in my hand. Take the medicine. Fu Jing's voice was icy as he said bluntly, get out. Seeing me approach step by step, Fu Jing's fingers curled slightly. The next moment, he stood up, grabbed my neck, and slammed me to the ground. Fu Jing's eyes were bloodshot as he growled from his throat. I said, get out. Given the circumstances, I wasn't the least bit surprised, but this is a school, not the Fu household, not a place where Fu Jing can act recklessly as he pleases. Having worked in the fields with my grandmother for years, if nothing else, my strength is truly formidable. Without a word, I pried open Fu Jing's grip, seized him by the collar, and flipped him straight onto the ground, pinning Fu Jing down. I enunciated each word slowly. I said, take your medicine. Fu Jing was having a bipolar episode at that moment and couldn't listen to a word I said. He struggled to get up. How dare you treat me like this? I'll tell mom and dad to kick you out. My voice was icy. Suit yourself. If it weren't for the fact that grandma owed the Fu family a debt of gratitude that needed repaying, I would never have obediently left with the Fu family. Fu Jing couldn't outmatch me. With a fierce glare, he opened his mouth and bit down hard on my arm. He showed no mercy, and in an instant, blood gushed from my wound. But I wasn't about to indulge him. I threw a powerful punch to his face, covered in blood, and grappled with him. Having just vented his anger, Fu Jing had already exhausted his strength by now. In the end, I pinned him down with his hands twisted behind his back, forcing him to swallow the medicine. Fu Jing glared at me with hatred. Fu Qiushi, you're insane. I slapped him mercilessly. You're the insane one, moron. 7. Because this time Fu Jing had an episode at school. Almost everyone knew Fu Jing had bipolar disorder. Su Yinglong even spread rumors at school, saying Fu Jing was a madman, violent and cruel, and everyone should stay away from him. Facing Zhou Chongji's inquiry, tears immediately welled up in Su Yinglong's eyes as she said tearfully, Fu Jing is a terrifying person. I've seen him bully others before. I just wanted to keep my classmates away from him for their own safety. Upon hearing this, the subtle discomfort in Zhou Chongji's heart instantly dissipated, and he found Su Yinglong even more kind-hearted. He pulled Su Yinglong into an embrace and declared boldly with a wave of his hand, don't be afraid, stay with me. I won't let anyone bully you. Hearing this, Su Yinglong showed a shy expression. She blushed, lightly hitting Zhou Chongji's arm, and coquettishly said, what are you talking about? It was precisely because of these words Su Yinglong had been spreading. Fu Jing was already unsociable, and now, no one dared to get close to him. Only I, as usual at school, kept an eye on Fu Jing, making sure he took his medicine on time. Fu Jing was very impatient with me, scolding me more than once to get lost. I watched Fu Jing swallow his medicine, took the bottle, and turned away. Didn't want to be near you anyway. Because last time when Fu Jing had an episode, I impatiently slapped Su Yinglong. Zhou Chongji saw it and thought I was bullying Su Yinglong, which made him despise me even more. At school, I often found my desks and chairs scribbled with words like bitch and slut using markers. When going to the cafeteria, people would intentionally bump into me, causing my food to spill all over me. Even when I went out briefly, I would return to find snakes, mice, or cockroaches in my backpack, sometimes dead, sometimes alive, saw me freeze. Zhou Chongji leaned against the windowsill, laughing uproariously with his lackeys. I remained expressionless, walked over, and directly stuffed the thing back into his uniform collar exactly as it was. Zhou Chongji screamed in fright, jumping and shaking the mouse out of his clothes, cursing at me. Are you insane? Without saying a word, I turned and went back to my seat. Zhou Chongji's gaze was sinister as he glared at me. I'm going to kill you. 8. Zhou Chongji and his group had numbers on their side. I always avoided them. If I could dodge them, I'd have a peaceful day. Can't escape. If they catch me, I'll have to endure some humiliation. But I never begged Zhou Chongji for mercy, even when he ground his foot on my hand, looking down at me arrogantly. Tisk, Fu Qiushi, I see your mouth is quite stubborn. I was in so much pain that cold sweat poured down. But I refused to make a sound. Finally, Zhou Chongji found it boring and turned to leave with his entourage. Slowly getting up from the ground, I leaned against the wall, staring at Zhou Chongji's retreating figure, and hoarsely said, Zhou Chongji, you'd better kill me if you get the chance, otherwise, I'll drag you down to hell with me. Hearing this, Zhou Chongji turned back with disdain. Dumbass, think you're tough just for spouting some tough talk. Immediately after, there was a burst of uproarious laughter from a group of boys. Fu Jing often witnessed Zhou Chongji bullying me, but he would just give me an indifferent glance before turning away with complete apathy. Seeing this, Su Yinglong patted my face with a mocking smile and sneered, Fu Qiushi, you're so eager to be Fu Jing's lapdog, but he's never cared about you at all. I don't have the strength to deal with Su Yinglong right now. I can only lean against the wall to catch my breath. After catching my breath, I lifted my foot and kicked Su Yinglong hard. She screamed in fear, took a few steps back, and glared at me angrily. Bitch, why aren't you dead yet? Then, as if struck by some amusing thought, she suddenly burst into giggles. She gloated triumphantly. It's not time yet, my dear sister. Just wait to be plunged into a long, sunless nightmare. 9. Fu Jing and Zhou Chongji got into a fight. By the time I arrived, they were already grappling fiercely in the classroom, both bearing injuries. One was from the prominent Fu family of Ningqing, the other was the young master of the Zhou family. These two started fighting, and no one dared to intervene, fearing they might get hurt in the crossfire. The homeroom teacher stood at the door, anxiously pacing in circles. I glanced at Su Yinglong, who was hiding by the door, covering her mouth in excitement as she watched the drama unfold. It's obvious that these two people, who normally have no interaction, wouldn't fight for no reason. She must have instigated it. Su Yinglong saw me appear and curled her eyes smugly, revealing a row of white teeth. The Fu family parents are back from their business trip. When they find out Fu Jing got into a fight, guess what they'll do? Little sister, you're done for. The sight of Su Yinglong irritated me. I raised my hand and slapped her hard. Done for. Without Zhou Chongji here to protect you, don't you realize you're about to get beaten? After finishing, I completely ignored Su Yinglong's screams behind me. I stepped into the classroom without hesitation. Fu Jing's bipolar disorder flared up again at this moment, his eyes bloodshot as he tightly gripped Zhou Chongji's neck. Zhou Chongji wasn't one to back down either, pinning Fu Jing to the ground and punching him repeatedly in the face. I stood aside, grabbed a long stick, and mercilessly smashed it onto Zhou Chongji's head. With a loud clang sound, struck by this unexpected blow, Zhou Chongji's eyes rolled back as he lost consciousness. I flung the stick away, feeling immensely satisfied. The teacher outside screamed in terror at the sight. Fu Qiushi, this child is way too bold. Quick, quick, get Zhou Chongji to the infirmary. Seeing Zhou Chongji pass out, Fu Jing still stubbornly refused to let go. His hands clenched around Zhou Chongji's neck. I was afraid he might actually strangle Zhou Chongji to death. I had no choice but to hold Fu Jing down, prying his fingers open one by one while soothing him. Calm down, Fu Jing. Fu Jing's eyes darted around before glaring at me viciously, seemingly wanting to throw a punch my way too. I preempted him, twisting Fu Jing's arms behind his back and restraining him. Calm down, unwilling to yield. Fu Jing struggled a few times before suddenly biting down on my arm. Damn it, biting again. Is he part dog or something? I spoke rapidly. Right now I'm your only acquaintance at school. I have your medication. I can take good care of you. So please calm down. Okay, be good, be good. I won't let anyone bully you again. Listening to my comforting words, perhaps it was the taste of blood in Fu Jing's mouth that made his crimson eyes glare at me fiercely before he slowly loosened his bite. 10. The incident blew up into a huge deal. The teacher summoned both sets of parents to the school. The Zhou parents looked at Zhou Chongji's injuries and smiled thinly at the Fu family. Your adopted daughter here has quite the vicious streak. Hearing this, Father Fu shot me a sidelong glance and mercilessly slapped me hard across the face. Instantly, my cheek swelled up, and I could almost taste the faint metallic tang of blood from the broken skin inside my mouth. Father Fu said with a smile, yes, this child is beyond discipline. I hit too hard, my apologies, in front of the Zhou family. Father Fu berated me sternly and harshly. Immediately, he told me to get out, saying he would have a good talk with the Zhou family. Just as I was leaving, Father Fu patted my shoulder and said softly, well done. Seeing me walk out with a swollen, red face, Su Yinglong's eyes curved with delight as she giggled triumphantly, covering her lips mockingly. Sister, you're done for, you'll get the whip when you go back, and kneeling as punishment. None of it will be spared. And when that madman has an episode, you might end up suffering terribly at his hands. Just seeing her irritates me. Grabbing Su Yinglong by the throat, he slammed her against the wall and glared coldly. Watch your mouth, he's ill, not insane. Su Yinglong was being choked by me, struggling to breathe as teardrops welled up uncontrollably in the corners of her eyes. Her face flushed crimson as she kept slapping my hand. Truly Fu Jing's well-trained dog, so fiercely protective of its master. At that moment, Zhou Chongji walked out of the office with a darkened expression. Seeing me choking Su Yinglong, he stepped forward and forcefully pulled us apart, his gaze impatient. Bullying your sister again, how vicious. The deep-seated grudge from that time I hit you with a stick. At this moment, Zhou Chongji's gaze upon me was icy cold. He stared at me coldly. You've really crossed the line this time, Fu Qiushi, with curved eyes. I looked at the two people before me and said cheerfully, want to kill me, what a pity. Too late. Fu Jing walked out calmly from behind the door, lifting his eyelids slightly. He grabbed me by the collar and pulled me outside. Fu Qiushi, let's go. Witnessing this scene, Su Yinglong widened her eyes in shock, her expression almost completely disbelieving. Impossible. When did you become so close with him? I ignored it. I shook off Fu Jing's hand and frowned at him. Are you sick? Fu Jing paused mid-step, his expression awkward as he looked at me. He moved his lips but said nothing. Lift your leg and walk straight forward. I warily sized up Fu Jing, sensing something was off about him. Unusual events always signal hidden trouble. After a long pause, Fu Jing finally took a deep breath. I heard it. When that white lotus called me crazy, you scolded her. Why are you helping me? Fu Jing seemed somewhat confused. I haven't been kind to you. I let out an "oh" and said, I just don't like her and wanted an excuse to teach her a lesson. Besides, I frowned, staring at Fu Jing with genuine confusion. I've always called you crazy. 11. Fu Jing seemed to have unilaterally started a cold war with me. This is my deduction. Because when I previously supervised Fu Jing taking his medicine, he still mocked me. Idiot. Sometimes he acts against me, deliberately knocking over the medicine. But now, Fu Jing doesn't even glance at me, coldly taking the medicine and swallowing it in one gulp. Though I don't know what madness has taken hold of him again, but I find this version of Fu Jing quite easy to handle. After he took his medicine, I simply returned to my seat to continue working on the problems. Thanks to Su Yinglong's choices in this lifetime, although Fu Jing is a madman, the Fu family never shortchanges me financially. In my previous life, I attended school during the day and helped my grandmother sell baked sweet potatoes at night. Without money, I couldn't bear to buy supplementary teaching materials. The workbooks were bought at low prices from senior students, filled with scribbles and notes, repeatedly practiced several times before being reluctantly set aside. Now, there's a housekeeper taking care of things at home, and a chauffeur handles the school commute. Every month, Mother Fu transfers a large sum of money into my account. I don't need to worry about running out of money at all. In contrast, Su Yinglong's life was much more financially strained. Grandma was getting old, braving the bitter cold wind every day to sell roasted sweet potatoes, yet barely earning any money. She relied on poverty subsidies to get by each month. But having lived a life of privilege in her past existence, suddenly returning to a life of scarcity left her in utter disarray. Su Yinglong already had poor academic performance, making her future prospects bleak. Now, she can only cling to Zhou Chongji's affection for her to regain a shred of faith in the future. Occasionally returning home, Su Yinglong would often angrily scold her grandmother, "You old thing. Why can't you come up with money? Go out and earn some quickly." Considering Grandma's advanced age, I worried that overexertion might harm her health. I deliberately saved up my monthly allowance and, taking advantage of Su Yinglong's absence, slipped the money to Grandma. I told her, buy whatever the household needs, but don't spoil Su Yinglong. and don't let her keep ordering you around. Be good, Grandma. Grandma held my hand, her cloudy eyes looking at me with guilt. Sure. It's Grandma's fault for being useless. When you're old, you can't earn money. And instead have to send you away. Sure. Don't let anyone bully you out there. My eyes grew warm as I squeezed Grandma's hand back, smiling. Grandma, I'm living very well now. Mom and Dad treat me well, and so does my brother. No one bullies me. Only then did Grandma seem to set her mind at ease, patting my hand slowly. That's good. When leaving, Grandma held on to me and insisted on stuffing a bag of sweet potatoes into my hands. These are grown by Grandma herself, healthy. Take them back for your parents to eat. I couldn't refuse, so I had to take it in my hands. Grandma, I'll come see you next time. Take good care of yourself. Grandma stood at the door, watching me leave as she waved cheerfully and said, I'll be waiting for you. When I got home, I saw Fu Jing sitting on the couch downstairs, flipping through a book impatiently. Seeing me return, his tone carried some displeasure. Where did you go? Why didn't you wait for me after school? Noticing me carrying a dirty plastic bag with soil stains into the house, Fu Jing's expression grew even more disdainful. What's this? It looks filthy. I couldn't be bothered with Fu Jing and walked into the kitchen to wash and dry the sweet potatoes. Fu Jing followed me in, crossing his arms and standing arrogantly to the side. Why did you buy these? I went to see Grandma today. These are the ones she grew. Fu Jing had heard about me and snorted through his nose. Seeing me start cooking, he stiffened his neck and reluctantly said, Hey, Fu Qiushi, I want a taste too. I didn't add any seasoning, just boiled the sweet potatoes in plain water. Fu Jing frowned, picked at the skin with a fork, and tentatively took a bite. Just barely acceptable. The taste is alright. Your grandma grew them well. Watching Fu Jing's awkward demeanor, for the first time ever, I didn't find him quite so detestable. As we went upstairs, I casually patted his head like petting a dog. Finish it, don't waste. Fu Jing widened his eyes and gasped sharply. Fu Qiushi, how dare you? 12. Since the last time his parents were called to school, Zhou Chongji reluctantly behaved himself for a while, but every time I passed by, I couldn't help but notice. His gaze at me was icy cold, as if plotting something. Similarly, Su Yinglong also quieted down, yet her gaze remained as venomous as ever. Why don't you get confined? Why didn't you get beaten? Fu Qiushi, how exactly did you manage it? I looked at her and smiled faintly. Want to know? The next moment, gripping the back of her neck, I stood on the stairs, leaned down, and whispered by her ear, then get on your knees and beg me. Sister, the answer is actually quite simple. Understand clearly what each character desires. The Fu family parents were too busy with work, so they wanted someone to take care of their child at school and ensure a stable life. Fu Jing had been neglected since childhood, so he hoped to have companionship and receive care. I just hope my school life passes quietly. Use your brain to find the balance between these three. Take the initiative to put in some effort. The problem will be easily solved. Unfortunately, in her previous life, Su Yinglong was too selfish, only thinking of herself and unwilling to compromise in the slightest. This is the difference between her and me. Su Yinglong's body trembled with anger as she glared at me hatefully. A moment later, she took a deep breath, forcefully suppressing the anger in her heart. She sneered, just wait and see. Fu Qiushi, without Grandma by your side, do you really think Academician Fan would choose you as his disciple in this lifetime? Keep dreaming. In this lifetime, I will definitely live better than you. 13. The weather turned bitterly cold right after Christmas. It was rare for Ningqing to have snowfall. After Su Yinglong's harsh words to me last time, she's now doubling her efforts to please Zhou Chongji. After all, winning Zhou Chongji's favor and becoming the fiancé of the Zhou family's crown prince would bring immense prestige. This was an honor she wouldn't have dared to dream of in her past life. As the new year approached, the school was decorated with lanterns and red banners, giving the campus a fresh new look. I knew this was the school administration's effort to prepare the environment for the arrival of the academician from the agricultural academy who would be giving a speech. As for me, I continued my routine life, shuttling between school and home. Occasionally when Su Yinglong wasn't home, I'd go visit Grandma. This peaceful life suits me just fine, but ever since Fu Jing didn't find me waiting after school last time, he's been keeping a very close eye on me. When I went to visit Grandma, this young master would sit in the car, condescendingly waiting for me to come out, under the pretext of being afraid I'd cause trouble. Me, who's the real troublemaker here. Sometimes when Fu Jing grew impatient waiting, he'd follow me inside with a look of disdain. A pampered young master like Fu Jing did seem out of place in this cramped rental unit in the urban village. Granny nervously wiped her hands, unsure how to properly host. Fu Jing meticulously cleaned off a small stool before sitting down, unusually calm for once, pretentiously holding a disposable cup with 2 fingers. He sneered, "Sitting here any longer will give me rheumatism." I glared at Fu Jing. "Young master, sit if you want, or get lost if you don't." Fu Jing shot me a vicious glare, but his butt seemed glued to the stool, refusing to budge. It wasn't until I finished helping Grandma with her chores that Fu Jing reluctantly stood up. Grandma looked at Fu Jing kindly and said cheerfully, "Xiao Jing, come visit again with Qiushi next time." Fu Jing cleared his throat and reluctantly forced a smile at his grandmother. "See you next time." As I stepped outside, I unexpectedly encountered someone I hadn't anticipated. 14. Zhou Chongji stood at the alley entrance with a dark expression, flanked by a group of underlings carrying clubs. Zhou Chongji stared at us and let out a sinister chuckle. "Finally caught you." He sauntered forward slowly, a hint of disdain curling at the corners of his lips. "You've really picked a great spot. No cameras, no people." He tapped the long rod in his hand leisurely and said, "Even if I kill you all today, no one would ever know. Zhou Chongji is following us." With a sweep of my gaze, I quickly assessed the number of people and immediately formed a plan in my mind. Fu Jing, who feared nothing in heaven or earth, lifted his eyelids and coldly spat 2 words at Zhou Chongji. "Idiot." Hearing this, Zhou Chongji laughed in extreme anger. "Let's see today who's the real idiot." I took a step back, nudged Fu Jing's arm with my elbow, and whispered, "Follow my lead." Fu Jing raised an eyebrow in surprise. "You can fight too." I stared at Zhou Chongji approaching step by step, counting down under my breath. 3, 2, 1. Fu Jing spoke calmly. "Tell me, who should we beat up?" At the last moment, I grabbed Fu Jing's hand and shouted sharply, "Run." I yanked Fu Jing away, and he exclaimed in shock, "Didn't you say we were going to fight back?" I ran with practiced ease, deftly weaving through the alleyways with Fu Jing in tow. Even while panting for breath, I still had the energy to scold him. "Are you out of your mind? There are 18 of them and only 2 of us. How could we possibly fight? Having backbone is good, but those who can't assess the situation are just fools. Both my brain and hands are crucial. My dream is to cultivate high-end wheat unique to China. I can't afford to get injured." Fu Jing let out a disdainful snort from his nose. Coward. But he wasn't actually stupid enough to go back and pick a fight with Zhou Zhongji. After saying these words, Fu Jing fell silent. Fortunately, I had lived here for a long time and was very familiar with the terrain. I led Fu Jing to a dead end, scaled the wall in a few steps, then quickly pulled him over. After hiding, I pulled Fu Jing down to crouch, pressing our ears against the wall as we listened to Zhou Chongji's men cursing while running away. Only then did I breathe a sigh of relief. Turning my head, I saw Fu Jing staring at me in a daze. I frowned. "What are you doing?" After hesitating for a moment, he muttered, "That moment when you climbed over the wall just now was pretty cool." 15. Su Yinglong caused another scene. One night, she suddenly showed up at the Fu family's doorstep, weeping pitifully, holding a camera. She sobbed while banging on our door. "Little sister, Grandma is sick. Please go see her." Behind where the camera couldn't see, a vicious glint flashed in Su Yinglong's eyes as she said weakly, "Come with me quickly to see Grandma." Disdainful of her family's shabby home, Su Yinglong had long since moved out of the rental and settled comfortably into the apartment Zhou Chongji rented for her. She rarely returned. Even if Grandma fell ill, how could she know before I did? Besides, I just visited Grandma not long ago. She had a rosy complexion and was in good health. Su Yinglong's move was undoubtedly a weasel giving New Year's greetings to a chicken, harboring no good intentions. I checked the surveillance footage from Grandma's house, took a glance to confirm she was safe and sound, then reached out to close the door. "Come on, sis. I can see you're brewing up some mischief." Su Yinglong flusteredly blocked the door, putting on an anxious performance. "I'm serious, little sister. Grandma is really sick and wants to see you at home." I scoffed, eyeing Su Yinglong. "Next time, try acting more convincingly, sis. Then I might consider it." Fu Jing stepped out from behind me, his eyelids lowered as he looked down at Su Yinglong with disdain, as if observing an insignificant insect. He frowned in disgust. "What kind of stray cats and dogs dare knock on our door? Are the security guards just for show?" Fu Jing pressed the intercom button, his voice icy. "Security, escort this person out." Su Yinglong was escorted out by security with a tearful voice. Before leaving, the camera she held kept pointing in our direction. Su Yinglong glared at us from afar with venomous eyes, silently mouthing, "You're done." "Done with what? Do you really think I'm stupid and can't see her blatantly holding up her phone? I just want this wind to blow stronger, even stronger." The higher you climb, the harder you'll fall. Of course, 16, on the scheduled date, Academician Fan arrived as promised, because Academician Fan is a renowned scholar at the Academy of Agricultural Sciences. When she arrived, many newspaper reporters came to the school together to interview her. Just as the principal respectfully invited Academician Fan to tour the school together, Su Yinglong rushed over. Holding her phone and sobbing, she knelt on the ground, grabbed Academician Fan's skirt with tears in her eyes, and cried, "Teacher, please help me. After my younger sister was adopted by the Fu family, not only did she ignore me and grandma's well-being, but she also bullies me at school. I really have no other choice." Academician Fan was a very gentle elder. Seeing this, she quickly helped Su Yinglong up and asked with concern, "Child, what exactly happened? Who is your sister?" Su Yinglong sobbed while wiping her tears, "My sister is Fu Qiushi." Upon hearing this name, Academician Fan was momentarily stunned, and her gaze gradually sharpened. She said softly, "Can you tell your teacher in detail what exactly happened?" The reporters standing nearby instinctively raised their cameras the moment they saw Su Yinglong burst in. When they heard Su Yinglong mention bullying, their eyes lit up, and the red recording lights on their cameras blinked incessantly. They fixed their gaze on Su Yinglong and spoke gently, "Don't be afraid, child. We're journalists, we'll get you justice." Su Yinglong slowly raised her tear-reddened eyes and lifted her phone to play the video. That video was the one from a few nights ago when Su Yinglong came crying to the Fu family's door. As the video reached its conclusion, the journalist said indignantly, "This is too much. How could they be so ungrateful? What's this about bullying? Concerning the development of young people, we take campus violence cases very seriously and must resolutely eliminate school bullying. We will absolutely not tolerate it." Dean Fan let out a soft sigh and turned to the principal. "Please call the other child over. I'd like to hear her side of the story. Something like this happened so suddenly." The principal was sweating profusely and quickly had someone summon me to the office. As soon as he entered the office, he sternly reprimanded me, saying, "Fu Qiushi, even though you were adopted by the Fu family, Su Yinglong is still your relative after all. How could you bully your sister just because you're now a child of a wealthy family?" Standing opposite the principal, I looked up and smiled faintly, responding neither humbly nor arrogantly, "Principal, are you saying that no one, regardless of who they are, should bully classmates at school?" The principal raised his voice and declared, "Of course, this is a school. No matter what a student's family background is, once they enter the school, they are all students. The school will never tolerate any acts of bullying." Hearing this, I smiled contentedly, my eyes curving slightly. "Principal, I report that Zhou Chongji is bullying me at school." As soon as these words were spoken, the whole room erupted in uproar. Everyone knows that Zhou Chongji is the young master of the Zhou family in Ningqing, a person of noble status. He's not someone to be trifled with. In an instant, the reporters' cameras all swiveled to focus on me in unison. Cold sweat poured down the principal's forehead as he slammed the table hard. "Nonsense, you haven't even explained your own bullying behavior clearly. How dare you falsely accuse Zhou without evidence?" 17. I slowly averted my gaze and sighed. First of all, the claim that I bullied Su Yinglong is completely fabricated, a baseless accusation from start to finish. A flicker of unmistakable panic crossed Su Yinglong's face. "You're lying," she demanded. The principal retrieved the surveillance footage, pulling up all the recordings of me slapping her in the hallway. "The surveillance footage clearly shows the truth. I slapped Su Yinglong." The principal slammed the desk and shouted sharply, "Fu Qiushi, what explanation do you have for this?" My gaze shifted as I shook my head. "I admit that slapping Su Yinglong is a fact. It was an act of violence in a moment of desperation, and I willingly accept punishment." A smug expression appeared on Su Yinglong's face. Then I changed my tone. "However, every time I got angry and hit Su Yinglong, there was a reason. My brother Fu Jing has bipolar disorder, which makes him emotionally unstable." Yet Su Yinglong openly spread rumors at school that Fu Jing was a lunatic. Her actions undoubtedly worsened his condition. What's more, Su Yinglong always called Fu Jing a lunatic right in front of me. I raised my eyes and looked at the crowd. Fu Jing is a good brother, and I can't tolerate him being slandered like this by Su Yinglong. Almost everyone in the school knew that Fu Jing had bipolar disorder. Hearing this, the principal showed a thoughtful expression. A reporter whispered, "Indeed. Physical conflicts arising from verbal disputes are understandable and cannot serve as direct evidence of school bullying." After hearing the whole story, Academician Fan tapped the desk and looked at me. "So, your sister claims you've been neglecting our elderly grandmother. What's that about?" I nodded and looked directly at Academician Fan. I said softly, "Perhaps having my grandmother explain in person would be more convincing." 18. Fu Jing led Grandma into the office. On the way, Grandma had already heard the whole story. She looked at Su Yinglong with deep disappointment, as if unable to comprehend why the child would behave this way. With a choked voice, Grandma said, "Xiaoshi is a good child. She's been helping me with farm work since she was little, never complaining about hardship or fatigue." Her withered, aged hands fumbled repeatedly in her clothes pocket before tremblingly pulling out a tightly wrapped cloth bundle. Unwrapping it revealed a bank card inside. Grandma slowly rubbed the bank card with her hands, tears streaming from her eyes. After Xiaoshi was adopted by the Fu family, she visited me every month and saved all her pocket money for this old woman to use. She worries about my poor health. Despite being busy with her own studies, she frequently comes back to visit me and helps with chores. Sis, Grandma's clouded eyes welled up with tears as she spoke guiltily. Is it because I'm not well educated that I failed to raise you properly? How could you lie and slander your younger sister like this? Hearing Grandma's words, Su Yinglong's face turned pale. She kept shaking her head. What are you talking about, Grandma? How come I never knew about Fu Xiaoshi visiting you? Su Yinglong forced a smile. Don't lie to everyone just to protect Fu Xiaoshi. Grandma staggered a couple of steps, trembling as if about to kneel before everyone. This old woman dares to guarantee Xiaoshi is truly a good child. She's never done anything wicked or harmful. Don't be harsh with the girl. Seeing my grandmother's actions, I immediately stepped forward and supported her. Grandma broke free from my hand, knelt down, and kowtowed to the crowd. With tears, she said, "Yinglong is my fault for not teaching her well. Don't blame her." The reporters' eyes darted around. Having seen many scenes, they understood the situation clearly. The truth and falsehood could be distinguished at a glance. I helped Grandma to her feet and looked at Su Yinglong with a cold smile. Of course you wouldn't know that I often visit Grandma, because you despised our poor family and moved out long ago. Search your conscience. How many times did you visit Grandma in the 6 months after you left? Worried about Grandma's poor health and afraid she might fall or get sick with no one to care for her, I installed surveillance cameras at home. Watching as Su Yinglong's face grew paler by the second, I said coldly, "You would have definitely noticed these things if you were at home, but, you know what?" I pulled up the camera footage and displayed the surveillance records previously saved on my phone. In the video, Su Yinglong rarely came home, and whenever she did, she would rummage through drawers looking for Grandma's savings passbook, arrogantly demanding money from her. Fortunately, I had reminded Grandma in advance, so she hid the bank card I gave her very well. That's why Su Yinglong couldn't find it. In the video, Su Yinglong impatiently shoved Grandma and cursed, "You old hag, truly a waste of life. Can't even produce a single penny. What's the point of me staying with you anyway?" And Grandma, pushed by Su Yinglong, staggered and fell to the ground, only able to apologize. "I'm sorry, Grandma is useless, can't earn money." When I first saw these videos earlier, I was already burning with anger, rushed to Grandma's house overnight to take her for a medical checkup. Fortunately, nothing serious happened, and now, the evidence left in the video has all become sharp blades pointing at Su Yinglong. From the moment I entered, Su Yinglong had stealthily propped up her phone on the bookshelf. Her phone was live streaming, recording everything from the very beginning. Her original intention was to provoke conflict and have netizens criticize me. Little did she expect the situation to reverse so quickly, silently intercepted by me. She had no chance to shut down the live stream. Netizens' reactions shifted from initial sympathy for Su Yinglong and insults toward me, to speechlessness as the tide turned, and finally to outright condemnation of Su Yinglong upon seeing those videos. "How disgusting, what a vile white lotus, stop pretending to be innocent." And I actually thought she stayed with her grandma out of love. Turns out she just wanted to suck the old woman dry, feed off her bones. So cheap, so damn cheap. Ah, I was just defending her earlier, I regret it so much. 19. Academician fan helped Grandma sit down, saying softly, "Sister Shoa, rest a bit and have some water." Grandma used to be a support worker in Academician fan's research lab, helping the department with soil tilling and planting. In her previous life, Academician fan remembered the elderly grandma and made a special visit after her speech, which led to the unexpected discovery of my natural talent in agriculture. Therefore, after working hard to get into agricultural school, I became Academician fan's student. In this lifetime, Su Yinglong wants to prevent me from meeting Academician fan, trying to stop me from following the same path as my previous life. But I was well prepared, having already compiled and sent my thesis to Academician fan's email early on. After reviewing my thesis ideas, Academician fan was greatly impressed. We exchanged contact information, she learned about my situation, and arranged to meet me on the day of her lecture. So when Su Yinglong came in crying, academician Fan decided to hear the full story and understand the actual situation before drawing any conclusions as soon as she heard my name. And the outcome didn't disappoint her expectations. Then looking at me, academician Fan smiled gently. Qiushi, you truly are a good child. I wasn't wrong about you. After a pause, she turned to the principal and said sternly, the misunderstandings surrounding student Fu Qiushi have all been clarified. Now, it's time to call Zhou Chongji over and discuss his school bullying issues. Seeing this situation, the principal's forehead was beaded with increasingly more cold sweat the more he wiped. I smiled and said, of course, words alone are no proof. We can certainly review the surveillance footage first. When this matter was mentioned, Su Yinglong nearly lost her balance. I calmly opened the surveillance footage and played out every detail of Zhou Chongji leading a group to corner me, exactly as captured by the cameras. Of course, I wouldn't be as foolishly blatant and heavy-handed as Su Yinglong. I understand the wisdom of biding one's time and concealing one's strength. If I act, I'll strike like an eagle, lethal in a single blow. Today, I'm going to solve everything all at once. Zhou Zhongji bullied me, that's a fact. And today, accompanying academician Fan are all elite reporters from Ningqing Daily. When it comes to sensitive topics like wealthy family bullying, they're like wolves catching the scent of blood, their eyes suddenly glowing red. They won't stop until they've torn off a piece of flesh. Zhou Chongji, even as the most esteemed young master of the Zhou family, has no one to protect him. 20. The course of events unfolded exactly as I had anticipated, with evidence in hand. This is practically an indisputable fact. Journalists widely publicized Zhou Chongji's bullying of classmates. Overnight, Zhou Group stocks plummeted severely, and even Zhou Chongji didn't come to school for several consecutive days. Fearing Zhou Chongji's violent retaliation, I behaved very obediently during those days, strictly following my school schedule without daring to stay outside a moment longer. Yet inevitably, I still ran into Zhou Chongji at school. Over these past few days, he's grown terribly haggard, with dark, sunken eyes and bluish circles beneath them. He stopped me. Fu Qiushi, let's talk. I warily glanced around, making sure we were surrounded by classmates, before replying defensively. I have nothing to say to you. Zhou Chongji ignored me, lowering his head to light a cigarette, holding the cigarette in his mouth, nicotine swirling in his lungs. He flicked the ash before speaking slowly. That alley where I had someone block you, was that where your grandmother lived? I frowned, unsure why Zhou Chongji would ask such a question. I replied defensively, don't even think about causing trouble for my grandmother. I've already moved her out. She's somewhere none of you can find now. Hearing my response, Zhou Chongji scoffed, tossed the cigarette butt to the ground, and crushed it under his foot. I didn't mean to take revenge on you. He was silent for a moment before murmuring, all this time, I never realized. Su Yinglong claimed to care about grandma, yet she never once went back to visit her. Zhou Chongji shut his eyes tightly, exhaling sharply. I see it clearly now. This is the retribution I deserve. I disliked you before because I thought you were money-grubbing, a greedy and opportunistic ingrate. That's exactly the kind of person my father was. He killed my mother. That's why I've always hated people like him the most, but only now do I realize, I'm a fucking idiot, being played like a fool while pretending to be righteous. Zhou Chongji pressed his lips together, lowering his head stiffly as he apologized to me. I'm sorry, Fu Qiushi. Seeing Zhou Chongji like this, I calmly took 2 steps back. Don't be disgusting. If apologies were enough, what would we need the police for? With that, I turned and walked away without looking back. Zhou Chongji stood behind me, quietly watching my retreating figure. He murmured softly, just consider me shameless. 21. I heard Zhou Chongji dump Su Yinglong. Before long, rumors spread again that Su Yinglong was pregnant. She cried and made a scene at the Zhou family's doorstep, demanding they take responsibility. Unfortunately, the one who responded to her wasn't Zhou Chongji, but his father, old Mr. Zhou, already in a foul mood due to heavy stock market losses, felt even more disgusted upon seeing Su Yinglong, the root cause of Zhou Chongji's scandal being exposed. He was still smiling when facing Su Yinglong, but his words showed no mercy. You're pregnant. How can you be sure it's my son's? A woman like you, Mr. Zhou leisurely sized up Su Yinglong. She was beautiful, a petite face the size of a palm, round eyes, and had been a beauty since childhood. Thus, whether in her past life or this one, she deluded herself into thinking she could captivate men with her looks. The only pity was, in her previous life, she opposed Fu Jing and suffered terribly for it. But in this life, Zhou Chongji saw through Su Yinglong's true nature and grew utterly disgusted with her. After sizing her up, Father Zhou smirked disdainfully, just a wave of my hand, and I could have plenty more. What makes you think you're anything special? Father Zhou waved his hand in utter disgust. Take her away, abort the fetus, and then send her wherever she's supposed to go. Su Yinglong was forced to undergo an abortion. Within just a few days, she became severely emaciated, her cheeks hollowed out. When Grandma heard about this, she felt nothing but heartache. Blaming herself for failing to raise Su Yinglong properly, but I knew clearly that all of this was Su Yinglong's own doing. I didn't want to upset Grandma, so I agreed to visit Su Yinglong at the hospital on her behalf. Su Yinglong lay on the hospital bed, her gaze vacant as she murmured, why is my fate still so miserable even after being reborn? How come I can never win against you? I watched her from a distance, expressionless. Your biggest mistake was placing your hopes on someone else. In your past life, you wanted to rely on the Fu family to become a young lady. Unfortunately, they had ulterior motives for adopting a daughter, so you couldn't accept it and directly opposed the Fu family without considering Fu Jing's illness, creating a vicious cycle that made Fu Jing dislike you even more. In this life, you want to rely on Zhou Chongji's affection to become a wealthy wife. Unfortunately, the version of you that Zhou Chongji likes is all an act. You can pretend for a while, but not for a lifetime. You could have chosen a path more suited to yourself. Sister, the biggest difference between you and me is that I never rely on others. I place all my hopes on myself. Hearing my words, Su Yinglong froze for a moment, her face deathly pale as she shook her head, stubbornly insisting, I'm not like you, not at all. Su Yinglong screamed hoarsely, ordering people to throw me out. Later, I heard that after Su Yinglong recovered her health, she frequently visited bars and dance halls, places of decadent revelry. Relying on her looks, she indeed managed to hook up with quite a few wealthy men, but those men were just toying with her, and once they got bored, they quickly discarded her. Not a single one was willing to marry her. They sneered, you're just a whore who's been played by thousands. If it weren't for your decent face, I wouldn't even consider taking you in. In just a few months, Su Yinglong was forced to undergo multiple abortions. The last time, she encountered Zhou Chongji at a bar. Watching Zhou Chongji being surrounded by the crowd at the center, Su Yinglong's eyes turned red with rage as she grabbed a knife and walked towards Zhou Chongji. Zhou Chongji was stabbed dozens of times and immediately rushed to the emergency room, with his life hanging in the balance. Meanwhile, Su Yinglong was arrested and imprisoned for the crime of intentional assault. 22. I came across this news story through a webpage notification while checking my exam results. After the college entrance exams, Fu Jing scored well with 531 points, enough to get him into a good university in Ningqing. As for me, with 739 points, I was the top science student in the city. My goal was clear, to attend the agricultural school where academician Fan once studied. With the college entrance exams over and my duty of caring for Fu Jing completed, I decided to bid farewell to the Fu family. I slid forward a card. This is the prize money I earned from participating in competitions and inventing patents during high school. I've saved all the pocket money you gave me. I was adopted by the Fu family only to repay their kindness in helping my grandmother back then. Now, it's time to leave. Hearing my words, Fu Jing clenched his fists and said in disbelief, You're leaving. I smiled and reassured him, Fu Jing, no one will stay by your side forever. You need to learn to say goodbye. Now, Fu Jing's condition is well under control, and his bipolar disorder rarely flares up. Besides, my gaze softened. I have my own dreams to pursue, and I'm going after them. My dream is to cultivate premium wheat varieties, giving Chinese people access to high-end domestic crops, ensuring food security without relying on imports, encouraging citizens to prioritize local produce, enabling premium pricing for quality agricultural products, and helping farmers earn better incomes. I've had a dream since childhood. The crops my grandmother worked so hard to grow would no longer be sold at unfairly low prices. In my past life, I had already cultivated the wheat variety of my dreams, but now, all this remains just a vision. Today's China lacks high-end agricultural products in the international market. Despite being a major agricultural country, it is the world's largest importer of agricultural products. Moreover, apart from the Northeast Plain and a few other regions where mechanized production and planting can be achieved, most areas in China consist of mountains and hills, making full mechanization impossible. I believe that with previous experience, I can not only develop the ideal wheat variety ahead of schedule but also make further high-quality improvements, making it a premium high-end wheat variety better suited to China's conditions. 23. It's just that I didn't expect. On the first day of school, Fu Jing appeared lazily in front of me, dragging his suitcase. I was somewhat stunned. Why are you here? He pulled me into a side hug. lifting his eyelids lazily. Big brother can't bear to let his little sister wander alone in a foreign place. Grandma couldn't understand why Su Yinglong made the unprecedented choice to stay in this impoverished household. Hua, Fu Jing pushed me outward. Go help me fill out the forms quickly. There are so many people there. Crowds give me a headache. Taking advantage of my occupied hands, Fu Jing slipped a bank card into my bag. He smirked playfully. The Fu family has money. It's not like we can't afford to support you. Why are you being so dramatic? We finally have a top student little sister. The whole family can't spoil you enough. How could we bear to see you living like an ascetic every day? Don't worry, Fu Jing ruffled my hair. I've arranged for Grandma to be brought home. She'll be well taken care of. Genius. Never mind the trivialities. Just focus on changing the world with that brilliant mind of yours. As for everything else, with your big brother here, what is there to fear? Once a brother, always a brother. I'll always have your back, bro. You can count on me. 24. At the age of 25, working with academician Fan, our team successfully cultivated high-end premium wheat, high yield, excellent taste, easy to cultivate. Within just a few years, Huagua's premium wheat became a global bestseller. Through the substantial patent fees collected from seeds and the profits from agricultural exports, Hua country's agricultural sector has been developing increasingly well, as agriculture became profitable. More and more people began to engage in agricultural production. In the year I turned 29, at the venue of the Supreme Science and Technology Awards ceremony, our entire team was nominated, recognized for our tremendous contributions to agriculture and wheat cultivation. Grandma sat in the audience, quietly wiping away tears. She clapped excitedly and said with a smile,